Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another Component Cast stream. Here playing Zweihander. But before we get on with tonight's broadcast, I hope everyone can hear us. I'm coming from a laptop setup to get. It happens a lot. If you're new here, sometimes I change locations. Hopefully not as much in the future. before we get started as well, thank you for the hype train, everybody in chat. That's fantastic. Let's go. Roach, kick us off with what are we playing tonight?
We are playing a game from I believe it's now just published by Grim and Perilous Studios. Zweihander, a Grim and Perilous RPG, which is a grimdark kind of D100 based RPG system. It's setting neutral with a lot of options to kind of put in or to use or not use. It's very fun. We found it pretty easy to kind of ease into, with most people being D&D players in this group, kind of just slotting right in and kind of getting somewhat used to the game. So it's very good, and the main rulebook is a beautiful one that is fairly good for the cost. Like, I think this only costs a slight more than a normal D&D player's handbook, and it's like 3 times as large.
It's actually less in the UK. It's cheaper in the UK, which is just that's
it's heavy.
It's which is ridiculous.
Yeah,
I found it on Amazon. It was cheaper. So yeah, we're playing some Zweihander. Other than that, we're also using a wonderful app by the name of TaleSpire, which is a VTT. All information on TaleSpire can be found in our YouTube description. I'm not sure if it's in our panels yet. I'm yet to update those. But without further ado, there isn't really anything for us to plug. Oh wait, no, there is one more thing. New to this week in our merch store, we have our fantastic Pride merch for the month of June. As it's Pride month, it finally got. We were hoping to have it for last week, but unfortunately, it went through some extra checks just to make sure it wasn't anything untoward, and we completely stand by that, considering the unfortunate just aggression towards the LGBTQ plus community. But anyway, we have got Pride merch. All of our profits from the Pride merch will be going to LGBTQA charities, which are still being talked about within the cast. We want to make sure it goes to a cause very close to our hearts, so we will have more information on that next week. But any Pride merch picked up using our Pride design, all the profits that we get will be going straight to charity. So if you want to do some good and help out, and also just be fucking fabulous, pick up some Pride merch. That's all we have to say there.
They look great.
We are totally happy with them, and yeah, so that's in the store now. But without further ado, I think it's time for us to get on with tonight's broadcast, shall we? Clicking all the buttons, and we're back. So, sorry. Friends, I'm on a very manual setup today, so apologies if some of the transitions are a little wonky.
We're on analog, no digital. Yeah. So, last week, I'm not going to implement a recap just yet, since you're all easing into the characters so far. But last week, we had an interesting session in which you all crossed the river.
Yes.
And that took 4 hours to do. So, but you did eventually get to the other side. And we left off after a harrowing combat in which the party fought large wolves, not necessarily direwolf size, but just large wolves that came in wave upon wave, attacking this long road train that you were riding on to your various destinations. You finally did manage to reboard and essentially just Dukes of Hazzard the long train over a gap, though unlike Dukes of Hazzard, you did not stick the landing. As 4 giant horses died, the only NPC survivor died, but miraculously, you all lived.
Well, we can't be blamed for the deaths of NPCs. I figure like it's on the NPCs to give themselves.
No, you can. You can definitely be blamed.
Not the wizard. That wasn't our fault.
That's very true. The wizard was not our fault.
Nobody could have planned for wolves in the woods. Okay, nobody could have planned for that. It was unexpected.
No, nobody could plan for that.
Roach, could you quickly do me a favor and turn on and off your camera, please? You're very stuck.
Sure.
I thought he was just doing that for effect.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's frozen worse.
Okay.
I'm just no, go again. Try again.
Hold on.
It's the highest production quality.
Yeah, that'll do. That even if you freeze now, you're fine. You look normal.
Okay.
You're not.
Yes.
Okay.
There was a moment there where I was in charge, and it was glorious.
So
Power
yeah.
was very quickly taken away from you because we couldn't trust you with it.
Yes.
I can't be trusted with myself. I bought sarsaparilla. I hate sarsaparilla. I'm gonna be drinking it all night.
So, we left off with everybody having been thrown across or just barely getting across the gap of the destroyed bridge, and you seeing, right before the fog encompassed everything on the other side of the river, a very, very large wolven figure with red eyes that was ominously among a large pack of wolves. As you heard very unfortunate sounds of eating from across from the river. So yeah, you're all on the other side of the bridge. I do want to point one thing out. We didn't do it last week because I wanted to ease you all into the rules, and that's my story, and we're sticking to it. You have a pool of fate. You have a pool of points that can be used. 1 for each of you plus 1. So in today's session, there are going to be 6 of these points. These can be used on various different things. Fortune points is what they're called. You can use them on re-rolling a roll, or making a d6 a 6, and thus making it explode for another d6. Things like that. So basically re-roll a failed skill test, but you have to accept the new outcome, gain an additional AP during combat, or treat a d6 chaos or fury die as a value of 6. So you can just make it a max roll. You can use those points, whether those pooled points, whenever you want to. Just know that once you do so, that becomes a misfortune point that I get to use against you in the same way, but for NPCs. So that's just how that works.
Pretty cool.
I'm keeping track of it with this giant novelty ivory D6 that I bought this weekend for the specific purpose. Actually, I bought this weekend because I don't carry cash on me, and it was 98 degrees in the game store, and I needed something to drink, and they only had vending machines, so I needed to. So I bought this $12 dice so I could get change from a 20 off of my debit card because I haven't carried cash with me for months. So yeah, no. So yeah, I'm keeping track of it. You have 6 fortune points right now because you get 1 for every character plus 1. So when we're maxed out, you'll have 7.
So as a team, we have 6, or each individual has 6?
As a team, you all share this.
Oh, so
you share this pool.
So we decide as a group when to spend it then.
So it's like
yeah, or you could unilaterally say it because I'll accept either. It's just whether or not you want to go through that.
Oh, good! I control everyone.
No.
Yes.
Perfect game design.
I like how Discourse is like, yeah, I control everyone, and then Mage is like, but last week he fucked us all. So
How did I do? How did I screw you all?
You made us
I find your. I think you get
a
chaos
roll
points
for-
if you.
because you
Yeah.
See Viscera.
No.
You being the kid in the class going like, didn't we have homework, teacher? Did you forget about the homework?
and everyone's just
I
like,
see.
I'm going to beat
I
the
see,
Jesus
the
out of you
visceral
later on.
thing. Well, I was.
Yeah.
so
By the way,
because I
we
read
did
the
that
rule right
wrong.
then. Oh, really?
Yeah, by the way, we did that wrong. It's a resolve test, and if you failed it, you would have gotten, I think, stress would have been the equivalent. And if you failed it, you would have had chaos points. But we didn't do that, so again, we're all learning the game. So right now, you're all on the opposite side of the river, and a heavy fog has rolled in on the opposite side of the river. So it is obscuring the southern side. You can still hear things moving around, but as time goes on, the longer you spend here, the more the water starts covering that noise, the rushing sound of water, and debris hitting rocks and such further and further down the river. So what would you all like to do?
Did the horses land on the other side or into the river and flow away?
They immediately dropped like a stone once they hit the air, and they died. Or at least you probably hope they died.
I decidedly hope they died.
Yeah.
Damn. Well, I guess. Well, what are we gonna eat now?
Well, I can find something.
Well, at least we know if we keep following this road, we'll get to where we're going.
Clarification, is Dagmar with them?
No, we'll get to you later. This is also giving you a chance to do extra things or work on a character sheet if there's anything you need to do for that, or just continue to paint miniatures.
No, I'm not painting, I'm assembling.
Oh,
because
okay.
just like Discourse, I too have terrible impulse control and decided to purchase some Forge World upgrade parts for getting ready for Horus Heresy.
Oh no. Oh no.
So,
Yeah.
I have opinions on that.
So,
Hold those opinions.
what would
Hold
you
them,
all
please.
like to do in the game that we are playing?
Jeska's going to put her sword away because at this point there's no point in having that out. She will turn and start walking down the road towards the town that they were heading towards anyway.
Okay. It was the better part of a day and a half on the road train. Just pointing it out. You were going to spend a night in the forest with the train anyways, so.
Yeah, she doesn't want to.
What time is it now?
We said it was a little bit past midday when the combat started, and you spent a couple of hours working on the makeshift bridge that never got finished. So I'm gonna say it's probably like 4 o'clock in the afternoon-ish, like right around there. So it's mid-afternoon, you've got a couple hours. You got a couple hours before nightfall.
Jeska doesn't want to be anywhere near those woods, like that section of the woods, to sleep. That's a bad idea. So she's walking.
Is there any rest stations, right? Like, because obviously, presumably, like a wagon trail like this would have had plenty of rest stations where horses would have been replaced all the way along. So when was the last time we came across one, and do we expect one soon?
Just 1 second. Yeah, you would have heard Victor, the late and great Victor, the fan favorite of the campaign so far, who died in the first session
Yes.
due to his slow character. according to him, in his last moments. Stop staring at me. You did hear that there was a coaching station, like a coaching inn, that also had a stable, but it was in the next settlement. So the plan was to rest the horses, make camp, rest the horses for a night, and then go to the next, and then go to that town, and then they'd be switched out, or they'd rest for a prolonged period of time. Usually, you'd stay extra couple of days in like those rest areas for the horses to recoup if they didn't have spares. So that's a Low Hill is the next town on the road, settlement that's marked.
Okay, and can I ask a question of where was our journey leading us to? So on this wagon, where was it going to? Like, where was the end of the line?
Well, you can refer to your maps that are available in the handout section that I did share. I know I did. That showed the princedom of the Lynn. You are just past the Red Pike River. You were about maybe this morning you left from Dimstall, and you just crossed the river. You would head up to Low Hill, continue on this road, the North Road, to Leonzing, where you would then rest another day, and then this specific company has a kind of like they continue on from this area, but this you paid up till Saint Thilo, which is kind of a central city in the middle of the plains. But there were
4 of us did.
Yeah, not everybody did. But it continue on, and there is a leg that goes all the way up to Barnay, which is the actual capital of the princedom.
Cool. Sure. Okay. I don't perform well in the woods.
Then what are you here?
For the city, there's plenty of lint and such there.
But I do.
Well, sounds like you're out of luck, little
Good,
man.
I suppose. I'm not small. I'm quite tall, actually, compared to some.
And then
I had a
look
friend.
down.
I
He
think
had no
at that-
knees.
I
I was
think
much
at that-
taller than him.
at that moment, she says like she's much taller than some. I think Newton stands up from where he cracked his.
I'm pretty sure,
Yeah, he.
is Kluft.
Sorry, he. Whereas he.
It's a little trash boy.
I'm pretty tall for some. The 9 foot tall ogre stands up from cracks his back like, please remind me never to do that again.
Well, you lived, so I suppose you're on the good end of that one.
Right. And
I start
to
like
camp.
checking
We
myself
need food.
to make
We
sure I'm
also
still
did get
alive.
away from-
Newton just starts
You-
walking. He just starts walking straight down the road.
Kluft, you check yourself, and other than some, I'm pretty sure you didn't take any injuries during that fight.
No, none of us did, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think
No,
you did. I think
actually made it right.
I think the tanks of the NPCs all shielded you from consequences. So for this time, so there's like a couple of like scratches here and there, but like nothing, just cosmetic for the most part. Nothing's gonna hurt you that much. Oh, everybody, I do remember everybody who took part in that combat at least has 1 level of imperilment. They're at least on the first level. I don't think anybody is not imperiled.
Oh, does that not go away at the end of the combat?
It does not.
No.
It does not. That is
Why?
a
Goes
thing
away
you have
when
to
you
recover
like sleep
from.
and eat, I believe.
What was the reasoning for everyone to be imperiled?
Because I didn't roll any critical failures. I didn't be crit. I wasn't crit. I didn't have anything like that happen. I passed
No, but
all
I think
my
you
morale
did
checks.
witness.
I passed all those
I
checks.
think. No, you
They-
did, but
they
there
passed-
was.
No, it's just
Uh,
me and Little Trash Boy that have got peril.
I've got a ton of
Okay.
peril. I'm like,
Victor had a
this,
ton
I'm
of
like
peril
this
before he went
close.
down, as did
Drakel also took.
someone else.
Drakel has 1 level of impairment.
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah. So yes. So Jeska and Newton don't have impairment, but all of you have at least 1 level of impairment, the first level down from being non-imperiled. Which doesn't do anything yet, but it just means unless you get to a warm area to sleep and eat and rest for a night, you don't go back to unimpairment. Like you have to be basically in a nice place to get that back. So you've got like a little like the hairs in the back of your neck are standing a little bit taller than they normally would, and you just can't shake that feeling. But yeah, around you is just the kind of a small clearing that maybe when this bridge was in use, like a wagon or horses could come off to the side to allow others to cross the bridge, and then they would kind of go across afterwards. Kind of that has organically grown around here, this little clearing. Bits and pieces of debris that flew. Basically, everything that was on top of the wagon flew across when the wagon stopped immediately when it hit the bridge. So there's just a whole bunch of like bags and suitcases and small crates and stuff like that that are kind of on the ground, scattered around. And then there is just a dirt road that goes just into the forest.
Can I search the stuff for food, water, any weapons, anything useful, basically? And I think we've just lost discourse.
No, we lost the camera. I don't know. Oh, there we go.
Back in the garbage heap. That's what it was.
Yep.
I was running out of trash.
Just gotta pile it in. So searching, you wanted to search the debris? Just what was around?
The debris for food, water, weapons, anything useful.
Okay. Well, if you're going to go ahead and do that, I'm just going to make sure I will remember these eventually. There we go. Then I will probably want you to go ahead and roll a...
Scrutinize?
Yeah, scrutinize would probably be good. I think that would work. So roll scrutinize check. This is going to be a probably a challenging check. So -10 off of -10 to the success. So it's gonna be a little harder for anything useful.
Pray for me, guys, because we all know how shit my dice rolls were last week.
What was that?
Was that Red?
They remain terrible, 93.
All right, you look through, and what you find in here is what seems to have been almost all of the luggage that the merchant brought with him. So it's a lot of fineries of clothing, like nice clothes that have kind of been ruined because they're not meant to actually get dirt on them, so they'll never be clean again. There's a couple of like bits and pieces of what looks to have been maybe like a feast, like feastware that he brought with him. So like some small utensils made of wood and a couple of bowls and things like that. A couple like a flagons, things like that, but not a full set in any capacity. It probably got lost in the crash. Stuff like that. Nothing really useful that you can find that for survival.
Is in there somewhere, somehow.
What was that?
Kluft's other boot is in there somehow.
You're a little quiet, Mikey. I just want to point that.
Yeah, you're really far away from your mic or something,
right,
Mikey.
Yeah.
Kluft's other boot's in there from many years ago.
There are boots.
Actually, no, because that would be somewhat useful to all of you on a long hiking journey, and you rolled very poorly,
well,
so no.
I don't know if they'd be useful to me or to
Drakel.
Or me. Because I'm a teeny tiny little gnome lady. Well,
no,
boots
would still be helpful, you know?
Yes. But yeah, no, it's mostly just some like fineries, like clothing and things like that have been dirtied and kind of ripped in the crash.
And this is all scattered around like the clearing.
Yeah, because it was all in boxes and in the luggage on the top of the cart, so it just kind of flew everywhere, along with you and one of them when you hit.
Yeah, I'm gonna start gathering it up. Like I'm gonna start just picking up everything that I can find.
Put down just in your just in your inventory, just put down 1 weight unit of random refuse.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll take all this trash. Yeah!
One man's trash is another man's treasure.
Yeah, I'm a bone picker. This is what my class is spec'd into, picking up useless items and using my extra encumbrance limit in order to, continue
Carry
to
them.
hold on to it. Yeah. I'm basically the class that doesn't need to deal with inventory management, and I'm going to abuse that. Or I do, but just a little bit later than everybody else. Aha!
Yeah, eventually. So yeah, I'd say you spend maybe 10 or 15 minutes just doing that.
At that
But
point,
nothing
all of
else.
us
I have,
already
like, this-
walked.
I have this massive grin on my face, though. I'm, like, lost in this activity. Like, this is the only thing that gives me pleasure in the world.
Kluft is lost in the south.
Yeah.
And when you finish, you realize there is no one else near you, and you are alone, and you still hear wolves on the other side of the fog on the river, moving around.
I guess I'll go to rush to try and pick up, to catch up with them.
Eventually, you all meet back. Up. Kluft kind of Hurley comes behind and catches up with the group as you start walking down this road. It is not necessarily an arduous trek. This is a well-traveled road that, while being slightly moist dirt, is still hard-packed enough that you can walk comfortably in it. So it's, at this point, just a long trip.
Well, I've stacked all those clothes and items and stuff on my back like a Jenga tower.
Yeah, I'm assuming you're like a stereotypical merchant from a 90s era PlayStation game or something like that.
Yeah. Do you know do you know Labyrinth? You ever seen that with David Bowie in it?
Yes, absolutely.
There's a bit in Labyrinth where they go into this trash land, and there's these women living under these massive piles of trash. That's my goal, right? That's what I want to become. I want to have a hard shell of trash.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I was really worried you were going to start likening yourself to Hoggle.
Which, funny enough, has only gotten more horrifying after I saw what happened to the animatronic as time has gone on.
The puppet for Hoggle as he just got left in a room.
What they're made of, rots. So, what we're going to do now is actually a mechanic in Zweihander. We're going to just do overland travel.
Ooh.
So there is actually a hard-coded rules-out mechanic, because of course there is. You can definitely see the Warhammer Fantasy roleplay roots in this, where everything has a rule.
Oh yeah. Well, you gotta remember, so Zweihander came out when there was 3rd edition, right? It was only 3rd edition was around, and that was very different from the traditional sort of Warhammer Fantasy roleplay. So I remember Daniel Fox, the creator, spamming Reddit, spamming the Warhammer RPG subreddit. I remember that.
Yes, but I do have to say, since he is probably watching, good on you. We like the game. Seriously. So,
I'm not going to look at the rebrand. I'm not going to look at the rebrand. It looks pretty interesting.
The starter set does look amazing. Honestly, it does. And he did a thread today about how they're changing up the races and how they've reworded a lot of things to make it a lot less problematic in some cases, and kind of getting away things with racial modifiers and stuff like that. It was really interesting. They detailed the gnomes specifically, because apparently
that's a good ancestry to focus on, the gnomes.
The gnomes.
Everybody loves gnomes. Gnomes are in these days. Gnomes used to not be cool, but now they're cool again.
So, here's how this is going to work. You already have charted a route. You're going to be moving from the crossing of the Red Pike to Low Hill, which is your nearest settlement that you're trying to get to. There's one road to go there, so it's not going to be necessarily a hard trip. It is somewhat long. It was going to take a day and a half on a road train, and a road train is, while large, still faster than walking. So at a standard pace, it's probably going to take you 2.5 days, depending on certain aspects and if the weather holds, to get there. So let me just get to here. What I am going to need from all of you, and this is going to be a short stretch, so it's just going to be, we're just going to be doing one rolls of this because it's not long enough to do multiple days worth with this system. So I said this is standard terrain, so it's going to be flat rolls. Okay, so I need to know who's going to take on what role. So we need a guide, a survivalist, a scout. And here's the thing.
Me for all of those?
You can only be one of them
I know.
because it's you're dividing your aspects. So
What's
who
Drakel got, Roach?
what's Drakel got? Drakel.
He's there, so
He is
He
here.
is
I
there.
know.
You know
Yes,
him.
he is. You know,
know him.
Yay.
Well, give Kluft a clip around the ear, and he'll do anything you want him to. Under duress.
So what were the skills that we're running here?
We are your the roles are, you want a guide, which uses navigation. You want a survivalist who will roll on survival, and you want a scout who will roll on stealth.
Well,
I'm good at none of those things.
Yes.
I've got stealth. I do have stealth, and I've
Actually-
utilized it in the past, so it's not
be
unlikely
fair-
you might have noticed.
My base stealth
Yeah,
is...
Drakel's not going to be of any help. I'm looking at his skills. He is an aristocrat.
I mean, I am.
Aristocrats
too,
are
but
never
I-
of help.
I think
I
he has
actually have-
navigation.
He might.
He does
It's in
not.
intelligence.
He does not.
He
He does. I'm not going to share his stats, but he does not have navigation. He has other things that are more conducive to what his profession is, which I don't think he's actually shared. So I'm not going to ruin that.
Hi, I exist.
Yeah, true.
Fiance of that player knows what
Yeah.
his thing is.
Talking about for the greater I was going to say podcast, for the greater actual
Don't you
play
do that
stream.
to
What
me.
podcast?
Don't-
What's a podcast?
It just
What's
gets
a podcast?
flashbacks.
Mages just curl up in a corner like.
So yeah, who wants to be the guide, which will test on navigation?
Well, I'm not trained in it, but I've got. A
Then that
50
means you will flip results to fail.
Oh, really? Is it you have to have this one?
If it has an asterisk on it, which is a trained skill, then
I didn't see it was an asterisk.
then you flip
ignore
results
what
to
I was
fail.
gonna say.
I am trained, but I am imperiled.
Are you
Which does
imperiled
nothing at
more
the
than one
moment.
level?
Yes.
So
Are
you
at the
ignore one
one
skill rank.
rank thing, or just
Yes.
imperiled? Okay, so
Okay.
you're ignoring a skill rank.
But the thing is you still you do not flip
I
to
still
fail.
have the training
Yeah.
because I've got survival, I've got navigation, I've got stealth. So
Okay, so stealth is not a trained thing.
It is not.
It
So I
is.
could
neither
roll
is
that.
stealth.
I could roll that because I have a 51 agility. Assuming, oh yeah, that's right. Sorry, Discourse is really good at that. If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a coffee because I am flagging here.
Okay.
That's
Sorry.
sorry.
You're fine. You're fine.
What is the other one?
Right, I will do
Navigation,
navigation then because I'm the only one trained in it.
Yeah.
Okay. Kluft, do you have anything to add to this?
Well, the problem I have is that I'm really imperiled at the minute, so I'm ignoring 2 skill ranks anyway. So I may as well be unskilled on everything.
I forgot
No,
you
because
had
if you
that
have
freak out.
if you're trained in it, you still have the training. So you having no ranks, but you ignoring 2 ranks, but still being trained in a skill is better than somebody who doesn't have any ranks, because they will flip the results they roll to fail a test. So if they rolled a if they rolled a 39 and they don't have training in the skill, they'll go to a 93. Whereas if you did it, it would just be a
Oh.
39, even if you don't have
Right.
the skill ranks in it, because you
Well,
are imperiled.
that's only
Okay,
for-
well, so what I'm going to do then is I'm going to stealth behind the party. And when someone
scout.
is like, "Can
You're gonna
anyone
be-
can anyone go
You're a
quietly
scout.
ahead?" I'm not going to raise a peep.
Okay. Okay.
And then if you want to clip me around the ear, Kluft will go ahead and scout under the duress of it and complain that it must be a Thursday because he could never get the hang of Thursdays.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so survival isn't a trained skill. It doesn't have any it doesn't have an axe.
Oh, actually,
next
if
to it.
this is a single stretch thing, so that it's a single stretch means we're not going to be rolling multiple times, and because this is a general thing, you will actually drop down to just imperiled, because you will have to sleep one night in the forest, which means you will you will regain all of your peril levels except the last one, because you are not in a safe area. So anybody that has that is the same. So actually, you do still have your skill rank.
Sleep, I can get 1 skill rank back.
Yes, and I'm going to say, since the majority of this journey, which is going to be 1.5 days, you're only going to be spending a couple hours today moving, and then the rest of it will be after you've slept a night, or I've made at least some camp at some point in the dark.
Right.
You can just go ahead and roll without the detriment at this point. So,
can I pull out my skill from my bag? My talent.
Your talent, hold on, I've got to open up your character sheet.
No, it's okay, I've got it. It's azimuth.
Do you have a
Oh, you've got an item.
No, azimuth is a talent. So
I said
that means,
talent.
I think.
Yeah, it's me.
Yeah, talent.
I
pull it out of a bag.
I corrected myself and said talent. But azimuth means that if I can see a starry sky, I know the way.
Yes, you can. So you can kind of track that, which will help with navigation, because while on the map it does only look like one road's going up to Low Hill, there you can tell that this place is very heavily favored by like loggers and woodsmen. So there are a whole bunch of paths that kind of like branch out here and there deeper into the forest. So you have to kind of keep on the main road, and sometimes it's harder than others. That's why the navigation check is here. So if that's so we have a guide.
Ooh.
And we have a scout, survivalist, who wants to be a survivalist.
So survival isn't a trained skill, so anyone can do that.
Yes.
I have a 45 in survival.
It's a flat roll, but there's no detriments to this.
What
so.
does
I also have a 45 in survival.
And what does our lizardy friend have?
Lizardy friend, survival. Not that.
Okay, so Mitch, do you want?
Here's a fancy pants.
Here's what I'll do. I will assist Midge.
Midge?
No, it's the opposite way round. I can't help people.
Right.
People can help me.
Yeah,
right.
Because
so
what
the way
that does in this system, and it's
we'll get into that once we get to that, because we're going to roll these in order. So I need whoever's going to be the guide to roll a check. It's just going to be a flat roll.
I just got to try and find what it actually means for my skill. 1 second.
Does that mean we have to travel at night then?
No, because I'll just take a reading.
Yeah, it's kind of like,
okay,
because like boats travel all day, but they kind of like they readjust their paths at night. Yeah. So I'm going to apply kind of the same thing to overland travel, even though it doesn't work at all. But we're gonna go with it.
Yeah. Right.
And by the way, no, go ahead. No, go
ahead, Roach.
No, I was just exposition. I was going to fill while you were trying to gather.
Okay. So, effect. When you can see the stars, you gain a plus 20 base chance to navigation tests. In addition, you always know true north above ground, even during inclement weather.
That's convenient.
Okay, since you're not traveling at night, but you do know true north, which will help you in this specifically. You'll get a plus 10 to this. I'm gonna go right down the middle with it.
So I've already got a plus 10, so I get another plus 10.
Yes. So whatever your listed skill is, it's going to be plus 20 overall that listed number, and you're trying to roll under that. So
that's really good. That's like a really good talent.
You say that, and again,
I mean, I think
it's
the
red
talent I
rolling
had also helped as well. Like I picked the right one there as well.
I remember Isaac and his maps. Is all I'm going to say.
Yeah. My talents are all combat based.
Also, this is like the perfect test for Ashen. Like their profession is this, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So
they are Victor before he decided to retire to kart driving.
There may have actually been I expected more NPCs to live, and they all had skills that may have been able to slot in for some of these.
Whose fault is that, Roach?
So
it's not fucking mine.
I finally succeeded.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
I got a 55 and I had to get under a 63.
So that's a
You had a critical
then.
success.
Yeah, because you rolled two fives.
You rolled a double, which is critical success. So the thing is if I remember correctly, that doesn't do anything for this. But I'm gonna say it cuts a little bit of time off of the journey because that doesn't feel nice that you did roll a crit. So, but it's you cut a couple hours off of it. Basically, you figure out kind of like by checking the roads and kind of using your kind of knowledge of the terrain that that Discord drops that
It's a night tonight, friends. It's a night.
It's a night. That you can kind of bypass one of the kind of the odd kind of jutting bits of the road for a logging road that reconnects later on down the road. So you catch a little bit extra time off of that.
Do I need to get a bonus?
No, you're okay.
Cool.
So
Would you like
with
to
that
know what
done,
I rolled?
well, with that done, now we're rolling the survival
Which is me.
check, which is you. Now here's how assists work in this system. When somebody's assisting you, you will roll your check as normal, but the person assisting you will roll the tenths die, and you can slot that tenths die in for to replace yours if it'll succeed. So you have a choice of that. So
I just
so
turned
Mikey,
I turn to Jeska though and go, I don't need you, and continue walking because I rolled a 27. So,
okay.
I mean, I could roll a 0 and you could
yeah,
get
no,
a
that's
7.
yeah. Or no, see if you roll a 2
Yeah.
because then we might get a crit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always
No,
worth.
I did not.
There we go.
So, what happens, and the way that this works, Survivalist does things like managing the watch cycle, determining like what a perimeter is, help set up the camp, things like that, build fires. So, while you don't actually use the dice, I'm going to say mechanically, Jeska does help you with more of the wilderness things, and you deal with the more security based
I would
aspects.
like to say that it's like Jeska is doing things and Newton is just going, yes, I agree.
Newton is managing.
Yeah.
he's
Exactly.
managing.
Jeska already has a decided
Worse.
dislike for him.
Newton is delegating.
He's
Oh,
delegating.
God,
yes,
no!
Yeah,
No,
that's good.
Precisely it. Newton is just, yes.
That's good. So you get through that and everything kind of works out. And then we need the scout roll, which is a stealth roll. So Kluft,
Sure. Yeah.
go ahead and roll your stealth.
All right.
And
Let's see how it
see what
goes.
happens.
So when do you crit fail?
When you roll doubles, but it's above what you need to roll. So
Or
if you rolled
100,
like a
or a 99.
Well, what you're
Or
telling me
100.
then is that a 99 might be a crit fail.
oh yeah,
I was really hoping you wouldn't say that.
oh it is
Yeah,
it totally
felt
is.
like a crit fail though. I guess so. Yeah, so I'm gonna wander through the woods, kind of like a little bit annoyed
Do
that
you
I
want
got
to use
picked.
a fortune point to
No!
re-roll the skill test?
I feel like this is pretty appropriate. What about you guys? I feel like I got picked for the worst job. I'm gonna get fed to the wolves because of these guys. I'm like kicking a can. I don't know where I got the can. Probably from the trash. I've like set it on the ground and I'm kicking it as
You've
I'm
set
like
up a
walking
can
down.
to
Yeah,
kick.
yeah. I'm walking down like a grassy knoll, being like bloody Thursdays every time. Always
Okay.
Thursdays.
All right. I just need you to roll 1d10 for me and tell me what you rolled.
Sure.
I don't know that.
Let's see how it goes. It is a 9. So I'm lots of 9s today.
9. Okay, great. So, one day, or on the second day of travel, you're most of the way to where you were being told Low Hill is, but there's a kind of there's an area that Ashen doesn't like the look of, and they need somebody to go scout. You're voluntold to go there, so
Yeah.
you go ahead and you go down.
Volunteered.
Yeah.
If it's easy, I will say Newton just goes, yes, please send the ragamuffin away.
I immediately like it's like there's something inside my blood that immediately it obeys the commands of of a nobleman. There's something like in my no, you've got a nobleman's accent. That's all that matters. And so I like immediately spring to action like against my own will. And begin marching off. Like
So
what stronghold with the spearman. Yes, me lord.
Yeah. Exactly, right?
So what happens is you go down into this like kind of like low point, this like little valley, this kind of depression, and you're
I've
just
got a rock
walking
inside
along.
the can, and I'm like shaking it now. I like make a little bit of noise.
Yeah, and so you don't notice when you're halfway into a clearing. And you for some reason you stop because you notice something like in your periph, and it's an odd smell. And you look down and you see the aftermath of what looks to be an ambush. There is a cart with its majority superstructure body burned, so it's been burned through, so it's blackened. There are a few corpses scattered around, and some very dry blood kind of all around you. Go ahead and make a scrutinize check for me.
Sure. I think I have scrutinize. I failed though. I've rolled a 72.
Okay. So you don't notice any major like identifiers to them. The only thing you can tell is the fact that the three corpses are dwarvish. They're dwarfkin. So they're very short but stocky kind of built.
Oh, they might have clothes that fit me then. Okay, sick. I'm gonna like do like a glance around. If I don't see anybody there, I guess like this looks like the remote, like they've been here like a little bit, like at least like a couple of days or so, right?
Carrion have gone over them.
Oh no.
It's been maybe like a week or more since they were here, and they were burned. You can tell. So most of their gear is like just like a blackened coal, essentially.
Sure.
Like
Sad, but I mean, well, Carrion are like my main competitor. It's sad to hear that some of the stuff got burned though. So I'm gonna like rush towards in case like to try and beat them to whatever like nice pickings there are, like bits of lint and things like that might not have gotten taken by the fire. I'm gonna like rush towards the ambush location where these poor dwarves were.
Well, you're
were
lucky.
ambushed.
You're lucky. I just rolled to see how lucky you were, and I rolled a 1, so that was the best you could have done.
I'm very lucky.
Very lucky. So your loudness, where you still have in one hand a can with a rock in it, that makes a lot of noise. You avoid the fact that in one of the corpses there is what looks to be some sort of highly venomous snake that you scare away.
I rattle my can on it really loudly.
Yeah. The fact that Kluft has not died yet through sheer luck.
It's a Friday night. That's my lucky day. Ugh.
It stuck its tongue out, it smelt the air and went, yeah, no.
I don't want to bite
so
that.
it was curled up in the it was curled up in the skull.
It won't die.
Yeah. It was curled up in the skull of a dwarf, and you scared it away. It just goes out an eye and just slithers into the tall grass away.
It's not lucky. If it had bit me, it would have died.
Yeah, potentially.
Mutually assured destruction. So, go ahead and just make a scrutinize check. It's it's an easy one, plus 20 on this. It's not hard.
Cool. Oh, I got a 14, so that is a success.
Great. So what you find, just kind of like sorting through everything, is what amounts to one set of common clothing.
Oh,
but it's
nice.
mismatched. But it's like mismatched. So you got that. One set of
Like
one set.
It's like a Warhammer starter box. Sweet. Now I've got a bunch of things to collect.
You find one set of what looks to be like ruined. Maybe this was at one point like mail, but it's definitely not worth it. It's just bits of metal here and there. At this point, they're not linked anymore. The further you get into this, the more it kind of makes this is starting to like tell a story. But you definitely see like this mail shirt was like cut in half, and it just kind of lost structural integrity. So now it's just like bits of chain mail, just kind of, but not enough to be useful anywhere. So maybe you could get a couple of coppers out of this if you wanted to keep it.
Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my precious string out. I'm gonna begin to thread the string so that I can like carry it like over. Like I can basically loop the string.
It will not count as armor in any fashion whatsoever.
That's fine.
So, but just mark down one set clothing, just clothing. And then also mark down ruined bits of mail, and the ruined bits of mail is going to have an encumbrance value of 2 because it's metal. Sure. It's just a big hunk of like stack of like chain like rings that you kind of like stuff into a bag.
How do you work out your encumbrance limit?
It's your brawn plus 3, but it might be higher for you because you're.
Yeah, it's brawn plus 3, but if you have a thing that changes that, like you being a bone picker, then that will up it. So,
sure. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. No problem.
Great. And the clothing doesn't have an encumbrance value because it's just cloth. It's just basic cloth.
Cool.
So
doesn't
matter.
That'll actually probably take me a little bit of time, so I don't know if I've done a very good job scouting, honestly.
You haven't. You absolutely have not. So you go back about half an hour later, and a little bit later, you're all in the.
Yeah. Seems fine.
You're now all in the clearing, and you see a picked over corpses that are now no longer anywhere near where they were before because Kluft just immediately rifled through the crime scene.
Can I, using my investigative prowess, can I try and work out what happened here outside of an ambush?
We'll find out.
As the first finder, I claimed looting rights.
I will run you through with my sword if you don't shut your mouth.
I would
very
take
antagonistic
his advice.
party.
I would
Love
take his advice, you squashed cabbage leaf. Now hand over anything that you may have found.
You gotta get that book away from him. Or that list of insults.
Or just show me. Just show me. I'll appease.
I use Kluft eyes you suspiciously, but then does reach like into his bag and like. Well, actually, I probably pull it from inside my like sleeves, and I like reveal the clothes and this like long string of bits of metal that have all just been strung together.
That looks like armor.
Well, fine. You can have some of it if you wish.
No,
I suppose.
I'm just trying to work out what happened here. And I'm just gonna go full ignoring everyone else. Start to go through everything.
Okay, so checking. So by that measure, you can go ahead and roll scrutinize. A scrutinize check.
Jeska's like patrolling around this area.
Okay, I am
Basic check, no pluses or minuses.
I am trained in this though, so this is.
Okay.
Ooh.
You would hope I would be as an investigator.
A crime scene. I have no idea what to do.
I rolled a 4.
A 4. Okay.
Only roll using apps now, Midge.
Now what I imagine is a fantasy-style wizard CSI.
Yeah. You missed it, Utari. I have a what do you call it? Like a shoulder holster, but for a wand now. And we were talking about having like a detective like wizard.
So we have Sean Connery playing Detective Muggleskin. Yeah, so it seems he had a spell-casting injury.
I'm not quite doing the shushing for it to be Sean Connery.
Yeah. So what you find, Newton, you look over this crime scene. It doesn't take you long. These corpses tell a story. Everything in this tells a story. The placement of the debris, the way this is burned, the blood spatter. it's very obvious. There were 3 dwarves at least. They were riding in a cart. The animal's gone, so either it was killed and taken for food, or it was just taken. Because you don't find a huge amount of blood, so that would so unless it was a very small animal somehow carrying this, then or pulling this wagon, then it didn't get killed here. The dwarves, it looks like one of them was killed by an arrow through the head, probably the driver by his placement. The other 2, looks like only one of them was armed and had armor. He was cut in half by something that came from behind him, and just separated. The other one didn't die for a while. You find footprints all around, but they're not humanoid.
Yeah, they're
Jeska's
mine.
been patrolling around this entire
Yeah,
time.
some of them are Kluft, so there's ones that have there's a 1 boot, 1 foot kind of arrangement. But other than that, there's just a whole bunch of prints that they're not humanoid. They're not kin. They might be some more of the bestial race, like a bestial race of some sort.
Can I have a look at them, given what I do?
I will point them out. I'm basically full, like, recreating the crime scene for everybody. Like, there's an arrow came from this
The
direction,
problem
pick up
is-
the driver."
The problem is, I'm going to say Newton does it very poorly because he cannot aid you in any way
Oh,
because
God,
of
no,
his.
I've given you.
Yeah.
I've told
He's
you what
using
I
very
know.
technical terms you don't follow at all, but he did point out the footprints, so you could use those to check.
Once you've finished describing it, Newton, Kluft is gonna go, 3 dwarfs died, I think. Like, as if he hasn't been following a single thing you've said.
The thing is, Kluft's right.
Just patrolling
Well,
this entire time.
I'm glad
Just like,
that your
alright.
mental faculties actually managed to count that high.
So, by the way, actually, that probably should have been skullduggery or something like that. That had you recreating the crime scene, but since it was a crime. But either way, you can go ahead and do scrutinize. I will also let you do
Survival?
I think skullduggery is actively doing a crime.
Yeah, I'd
It
say
might
it's
be,
doing
it's-
the crime.
yeah.
Because it's in the agility section. Of
Also,
the sheet.
considering under my
Actually,
true detective
folklore.
trait, my
Oh,
Take
I-
folklore.
true detective
yeah,
also
I'll-
says it uses scrutinize, so I think scrutinize works.
Yeah,
with
awesome,
detective
great,
stuff.
great. So yeah, you can roll on folklore to see if you find anything. It's a flat roll.
Can I roll on that as well?
Sure, if you want to. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got folklore. Although I think mine tends towards the more urban.
This would still
I
count. You
have
can still count.
53. I have 53. I rolled 45.
Okay. And let's just see what Kluft rolls as well.
So I have 43. I've got a point in folklore. I've rolled 51, so that wouldn't be a success, right?
No, it would be because it's 43 goes to a 53 with 1 rank.
Oh, 1 rank gives you
That's-
10. I thought it gave you +5. Okay,
It,
cool.
it gives you. No, you're thinking of Warhammer Fantasy roleplay,
Yeah,
which
I
gives you
am.
5. Yeah, these are
Yeah.
10s. So. Yeah.
Oh,
So yeah, you both succeed. These are ratkin.
there's no such a thing as
Jeez.
ratkin.
David!
The ratkin. The thing is that this is an already established universe that I've written, so I had to kind of adapt some of the races in the player's handbook of Zweihander. So the equivalent of the Skaven, which I think are called something with an S, but I can't pronounce it, are ratkin in this in this world. Which, unlike in the rulebook as well, because this is of established universe, ratkin are just like most of the bestial races, are the non-humanoid races, are a little bit more. They're less like tribalistic. They're less like wanton destruction kind of thing. There is an actual like society like Grendels are fairly well integrated into like most aspects of human society, or well, of most humanoid society, demi-humans. Ratkin also the same. They used to exist as this underground race of individuals that would come up and like steal children and like terrorize people, but that's kind of gone by the wayside as like the centuries have passed, and there are enclaves of them kind of just scattered around. A lot of big cities have them, so you would know of from your like local town, Kluft. You know Ratkin. There's a couple of bone.
I owe
pickers
money.
that-
I owe money to some ratkin.
yeah, and And Ashen would also know Ratkin because they actually have a surprisingly large amount of aptitude in mining because of their natural affinity for being tunnelers. So they get hired out to mining companies all the time that are that are far away because they can kind of they can do a lot more with less. They're very innovative when it comes to that stuff. And so yeah, these are Ratkin prints.
So
There's
they're
a
not
lot of them.
So they're not like inherently evil, like the Warhammer.
Yeah, no, they're not. They're not inherently evil. No, they. I don't think any races, I would say, in this world are inherently evil. They're just. But there are various aspects of society. Like orcs are fairly well integrated in different areas, but there's also like tribes of orcs on the plains of certain continents that are like raiders. That also happen. Same with humans and stuff like that.
Cool.
So there's kind of. Sure. Yeah, it's a fairly.
I am an ogre that works as a detective. Like, my
I'm a Grendel who's a hedge knight.
Yeah,
like we have weird shit, but Skizak, I believe is how you pronounce that. The Ratkin.
But Ratkin is.
I can't wait
here.
to find a paladin Ratkin who will be like, "You think we're evil? That is a very offensive stereotype."
I mean, it is.
But there's it looks like these dwarves were ambushed by a large number of Ratkin. Some of them, while not looking like they were large because they're the spacing between their feet is the same, were very heavy from the imprints that they look like. So
you got some fat rats eating well. It looks like.
Or they had armor.
What?
Yeah, could have been wearing something that made them heavier.
Oh,
little dresses.
They could have been wearing something that made them heavier.
Why would they do that?
Just looks at Kluft covered in bullshit.
All the rat folk I know all kept in rags and clothes. But then again, everybody does in the city.
Well,
I'm a goblin in furs.
A goblin?
A gnome in furs. I forget what I am.
Ashen does not
just
know
an
their
amorphous shapeshifter. It just keeps moving.
Whatever.
We're a character who dis.
You have to be careful about losing oneself. It's very easy to do in these wilderness. You can fall into the sky, the dwarves say.
That's not one I've heard.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, it's fat rats, not armor, I reckon. Liable to have sold it on. If they got themselves some armor, that's what I would have done.
Nathan, do you think?
Why wear armor? It doesn't make sense.
Do you think they left, do you think this was a hard and fast situation, or do you think they hung around for a bit?
It's hard to say. There's a lot of circling of the... there's a lot of circling of the camp, but, considering the fire is burnt out, they must be a while away.
This definitely happened more than a week ago. From everything that Kluft was fairly close with his initial judgment by the carrion, and your scrutinization concurs with that. This has been at least more than a week.
There's no identification on any of the dwarves, no family logo, no trades.
Most things have been burned off. The closest thing you got was the bits left of the armor, and the clothes of one of at least one of them. What was left of them was above average, like burger kind of level, clothing. Like it was nice, but not too nice to be like noble-ish, but maybe like a tradesman.
No symbology of note that I spotted.
No, just kind of no. That would be like you pay extra, like a lot extra for that kind of stuff. So it was like no, it's more like it was better than it was better than like common clothing, but like something you'd see on like a tradesman or a merchant or something like that.
So there's no trade company logo on the wagon. It's all burned away, I assume.
The wagon is just like it's basically the metal ribs of the wagon that were connecting the wood and some bits of wood connected to them. Like it was just something caught on fire and it burned down a while ago. Like it was left to burn. So
Jeska pulls out a notebook and writes something in it.
Well, I hope we bump into them. Rat folk are good people. Sometimes they give me soup. They take pity upon me.
These ones
That's a waste of soap.
seems
Well-
to have murdered these dwarves. Are you sure?
Well, maybe they don't like dwarves, but there's no dwarves around us, is there? None in our company. So we should be fine.
Everyone looks at
This is where
Atari.
Dagmar walks towards us.
Yeah. No, all of our cameras just
What
pan.
hey, fellow adventurers?
Actually, I do need you to roll one thing, Utari. Just roll a d10 for me.
Sometimes they go down to the sewers. They tell stories about me down there. That I might get their children. It's all lies.
I
Kluft is a
am
boat
You're the
man
rat
for
folk to
people.
rat.
8.
Yeah, you're the rat folk for the rat folk.
I'm slightly more
Rat
inclined to believe the rat
people.
folk than I am to believe you, to be honest.
Rat people telling like urban legends about this human who lives in the sewers and will get your young.
Yeah.
They say
so, like,
they say his parents flushed him down there when he was small.
Yeah.
He grew too big.
He was
An
blessed
8?
with
Okay,
a true, with a true
cool.
curse and flushed down
Great.
the toilet.
So is there anything else you guys want to do around this ambush site?
Just say a little prayer.
Okay.
I want to covet.
You want to what? I'm sorry.
Covet. You know, I want to be like I want to kind of imagine like what I could have had if they hadn't burnt all the clothes and be a little bit annoyed about that.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's a free action.
Sick.
Just got yanked.
Yeah. It's a free action.
It's like us at our old Breaking to Geneva
Oh.
convention is a free action.
I would
yeah?
want all of you to go ahead and just make a resolve check,
Is it a resolve check? Okay.
except for Newton, because it's
You're saying, why?
yeah.
Okay.
Just go ahead and make a resolve check. No bonuses or anything like that. Just kind of
Okay, so
flat
that's
roll.
a 40 out of a 44. Sorry, 48.
I assume
You're
not
fine?
including me.
Not including you. No. We'll get to you.
That is a fail by me by a degree of like 1. Rolled to 57.
Okay, failure. Cool.
Fail for me too.
Awesome. Just let me check here.
Not a fail, just a fail.
It doesn't matter. Just fail is a fail. Is a fail.
Fail
And
is
this fail is a fail is a fail.
I'm running out of dice here, guys.
Just keep throwing them in the bin. Just like, damn it.
Red, maybe you start using an app instead.
Yeah, maybe.
It might have to come to that. I might run out of dice.
The point of this was to get was for all of us to be analog.
Here, listen. You can have some of my many dice, Red.
You how?
No.
Just buy more. I'll just become
Fair.
a dice dragon.
I mean, yeah, we all. Yeah. You get there.
Okay, cool. So anybody who failed, you get 11 points of peril.
Oh no.
Jesus.
You get 11 points of peril. So if that breaks one of your, if that goes up 1 or whatever, then you apply that to your level there, and you each get 3 corruption. So make sure you mark that down. You get 3 corruption points.
What's this for?
You have come across a very grisly scene of murder in a forest in which you have no aid. People that were at least somewhat better equipped than you are, and were attacked and killed to the man. So you're a little stressed. You took a little stress there, so it was a fairly simple check. But it's just like there's hairs on the back of your neck are standing up. You're more aware of your surroundings. It's kind of the anticipation of something going badly, and because of that, you gain the peril that you gained, which was 11.
Damn.
And then you also gain some corruption points because that's how the madness system works in the game. So
I like
Sure.
I like to think that Newton is doing nothing but compounding on this and like going up to the body. Oh, the snake laid eggs in this one. Just
essentially, yeah.
because he is unfazed.
So-
That would
by all of it.
actually make it better for action. So.
Oh really? Okay, that's fine then. I guess.
Yeah.
Not
So
for Kluft.
what happens? So after that goes through, you'll all gain back that peril, back to imperiled before you get to the town, anyways, because you'll have at least one more day
Great.
full, so it doesn't really matter too much. for these stretches. But you, it's towards the end of the second day, and you have a decision. You are within like. Actually, hold on. You need to check one thing. Oh, cool. So it's midway through the second day, and you're just walking along the trail when, out of kind of nowhere, a very scrubby, like befuddled and like dirty dwarf kind of comes out of the bushes to the side, as if he has been kind of wandering in the wilderness for the last week, with no map and no idea where he is, because turning around. So Utari, you currently are, you have 4 corruption points. Just make sure you mark that down. And you are imperiled. But you did not suffer any wounds because I did roll for that, so you are not wounded or anything. But you have been alone after the ambush of you and your trade company for the last week. You were able to get out, but unfortunately you did lose the map and kind of got turned around while you were being chased. And so now you've been kind of on switchback logging roads for a while, and you just heard somebody with a can and a rock like a little ways away, and you were able to vector in on that noise.
Okay, this corruption stuff, is it going towards disorder or is it going towards order?
No, you see you see that little box in the center that has just put 3 corruption in there.
3.
Yep, 3 corruption. And you are imperiled, so that's the first level of the peril track.
Where's that?
It's under the peril threshold, right across from your primary attributes. Yeah, so you're just on the first little dot there, or not the first one, the imperiled dot.
So Dagmar sees this group rummaging over dead bodies, stops.
No, it's been a while since that. You were in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, I'm in the middle of nowhere, so I haven't bumped into them yet.
No, you have. You heard, like I said, you heard just a random noise of like a rock and a can, and it's the first noise of like civilization, kind of, that you've heard in like a week. And so you vector to that noise, and you come across out of the bushes, and you see a large ogre man.
What I'm saying is, are they rummaging through the body as we speak?
No, they're just you just met on a road. Like it's been like a day since that happens, because you went pretty far. It's been a week since you got separated. So.
Oh, boy, did ancestors! Thank goodness. Here's some other people here. I've been lost in these goddamn bloody woods for a long time.
Hands off the sword now. She's looking a little bit less sketchy of you.
So describe Dagmar to everybody. What do they see coming out of the forest? Obviously a bit dirtier than your initial impression of what you had for him, but yeah.
They see an elderly dwarf with pale complexion, light brown hair and hazel eyes. Pretty normal size for a dwarf, but one thing they would notice immediately is that his face has claw marks all over it. And around where these scars across his face are, there is what appears to be an eye that has contracted black cataract. He is one-eyed. Other than that, the guy seems like just a messy, dirty, typical low-born dwarf, although he seems to be carrying a pack filled with all sorts of herbal wares and bottles of this and that and stuff. So,
can we smell that on him?
I wouldn't say it's that potent, because I mean, Kluft is there, so
that's true. Yeah,
you know, there's a miasma that kind of lingers around.
By the way, can we have thrown Kluft into a puddle to try and get some of the grime off?
I will refuse. Kluft will fight this like he's never fought before.
I'll have to go spider monkey on all of you
Yeah.
before he gets into a water.
sword. You're getting in the pond.
But essentially what happens is, you see this dirty kind of this dirty, like, older dwarf that looks like he's been like kind of in the middle of the wilderness for like a week come out, say that, and we're going to do a midpoint break at that point before we get into the character interaction there.
Okay, so we're going to be taking our 10-minute break here. To those of you who are watching, so to those of you who have seen this before, sorry, I didn't have time to do a new break video this week, unfortunately. A lot more happened than I was expecting, but hey. So enjoy this midpoint break.
Hi there,
and we will
I'm
see you
Alex.
soon.
I'm the executive producer and founder of the Component Cast. This is a little bit of a new element for us. We've got a bit more of a formal ad break on tonight's broadcast, so you'll be watching a number of trailers from our previous broadcasts and existing shows, as well as us promoting some of our own stuff. Sometimes you'll see advertisers here, but today it's all focused on us. Speaking of focused on us, I want to take a moment to both thank you, the viewers, for supporting us on this first ever episode of the Zweihander campaign. It brings me joy every time we get to release a new campaign, as that was the original goal of the Component Cast, to give us a space where we can create and have fun with the TTRPG world and try to improve the already brilliant TTRPG and roleplay community that exists here on Twitch and across the internet. Now, these broadcasts wouldn't be anything without your support. So I'm going to take a moment to plug our Patreon. Sorry, it's a little bit boring that I'm doing this kind of just straight to straight, but this kind of information goes best when I can talk directly to you. Our Patreon is the lifeblood of this channel. Even though it's a new revenue stream, it is the best way that a viewer can support us, as it sees us get the biggest share of the ransom, shall we say. Don't worry, our content will forever remain free. That is not what we're saying here. This is just a solution if you want to go the extra mile. Currently, all the money that the Component Cast receives goes directly back into funding new shows and new projects. And with your support through Patreon, we can only create even more bigger and unique projects. But it's not without benefits either. Patrons gain access to a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. Most recently, they got to preview a lot of the Zweihander stuff before it went out. There's looks at both Component Cast Live and also Component Press, our writing group. Patrons also get to vote on what they want to see, so you can tailor what benefits you receive to you. Anyway, that's everything from me. Please enjoy the rest of these trailers and advertisements, and I will see you when the play resumes.
Drakelga. The city of dreams, they say. They might have even been right once upon a time. But now, it's a rotting, corrupt corpse on a hill. When the nation went dry, a few saw the potential, saw the money that was waiting for them. Now, you can't go a block without passing a speakeasy, even if you can't see it. And you'd be surprised just how many upstanding citizens you'll find at a table with a glass in their hands. These can't help but want money or power. Problem is when both of those mix away from the light of the law. Corruption, exploitation, and murder. It's all just another night in Drakelga.
And we're back.
I think we pissed off Midge. So
Nothing's changed.
Got a very hard job running all of you guys. Come on.
He doesn't run any of it.
Cats. We're cool.
I have to form a coherent narrative with you bastards, so don't even get on.
No, you got a
get on
point.
me.
He's got a point. Bro. He's got a point. Yeah.
Just let it be incoherent. Just let it be incoherent. It's
So where we left off, Dagmar, you came out of the forest. You all saw this dwarf who was described to you, kind of come out of the forest and role play. It was a bad time to go for a break. So
Well,
That's why I'm here.
who are you from? Where are you from? That caravan that we found?
Am I?
yes, Dagmar, you were traveling with some tradesmen from the kind of a local brewing kind of guild.
They attacked the beer man. No. How
A
dare
brewers guild that was coming up from the area around like the Petty Kings area to the north, and they were going to be dropping off a kind of a sampling of their wares at St. Talo. I decided to take a shortcut instead of going around through kind of the other passes to the west. They were going to go straight up through kind of the deep forests, and that didn't work out too well. You encountered a lot of problems. One, the road wasn't well cared for. Two, when you crossed the Red Pike River, you were being pursued by an endless number of large wolves. So one of your party threw a barrel of gunpowder at the bridge and set it alight, which destroyed the bridge. Stopping the pursuers, thought you were good until a little bit later, a couple of days later on the road, you were attacked by this just large contingent of oddly very organized militant rat folk, or ratkin, that ambushed everybody, killed them. You were out using the privy of the world when that happened, and you saw it from the edge of the clearing, and then you decided to run instead of facing off 20 ratkin with armor and swords, but you've been lost since then.
So you seen them then?
Well, it was kind of hard not to.
You know who attacked us? It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. It was like these organized ratmen.
We assumed the ratmen, all right.
I'd never seen anything like it before.
Were they wearing armor?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, Dagmar, you had it burned into your mind.
Very wasteful.
You saw them. They were wearing very raggedy, like almost in a lot of cases rusted or beat up armor to various degrees, but they were oddly enough like wearing not heraldry, but they had color coded capes, and I'm actually gonna roll and just see if you were close enough to get this bit of information. Okay, yeah, I'll let that happen. So you did hear a rallying cry from the lead one, which was wearing like heavy armor that looked to be like it looks like it's been in the ground for a while, honestly, from how kind of pitted and rotted it was, but it was still useful. But it was just it had a bright red cloak that it was like tattered red cloak and it charged down the wagon and it was going for the king, and then they killed everybody.
They had cloaks, colorful cloaks, raggedy armor, but one in particular, it had a red cloak, and they were screaming out for the king.
Sorry, are you saying
I didn't know
cloak?
that red men had kings.
Are you saying cloak or coke?
Cloak.
Cloak.
Usually they got bosses like Big Tail Tommy back in the city.
have
He
to
runs
keep
the
writing
cheese.
down this shit in case it ever comes up again.
He runs the cheese business.
I hate all of that.
Well, cheeses are very exotic. You bring them in, some of them smell and like different ones. I've never had cheese myself.
I don't know anything about that, but what I can tell you is that these red men weren't after any just cheese. They were after anything they could get their hands on. Like
Well, they wouldn't want cheese. They already run the cheese business. They wouldn't want more. They'd probably want milk, I suppose.
Well, there's other ways of getting milk than killing all my fellow companymen.
Do you have?
What did you have milk?
Oh my god.
Well, we had a bit of everything, but that's beside the point. The point is, like, have you seen anything of the red men? I've been
We
lost
get
here
it.
for a week.
Shut the fuck.
Case closed.
Shut the fuck up, the both of you. You, and she points at Dagmar. Do you have like an office or like a representative in a town nearby or anything we can bring you to?
Well, we were trying to take a shortcut to St. Tidal.
Well, good thing we're going there anyway. And you, please shut your mouth.
I look behind me.
It's funny, Kluft. Everybody always references somebody you just can't see. Stop talking.
It's the one eye
My
thing.
shadow.
Yeah, it's the one eye thing. You just can't see them. They're out of your periphery.
Dagmar, you don't have any injuries. The worst you suffered was you tripped a couple of times going down some steep hills, and you've got some like bruises here and there, which I mean aren't great for somebody your age, but you're fine overall.
I'm hobbling with my staff.
Yeah. So no, he doesn't look like he's injured overall. More just like disheveled. More so, like he could use a good bath or a comb.
Both maybe.
Yeah.
I'm at the braids of my beard.
Yeah.
I'm Jeska, and these are, I don't know what they are, but we're traveling together.
Dagmar and Dagmarson.
Well, if it isn't that... Well, if it's... Oh, that's hard in that voice. Accent problems, give me a moment. Well, if that isn't easy enough to remember. My name is Newton J. Hemlock. You may have heard of me.
No.
I'm slowly turning into Mr. Bean.
Oh no!
The accent is failing. Yeah, Dagmar, you see, just in case you've missed it, a 9-foot-ish, but very hunched. He's like trying to like almost level himself to a standard human height as much as possible, but ogre with fine clothes. Imagine Van Helsing from the Van Helsing film, but fat and ugly,
but 9 feet tall
and 9 foot tall. I don't know. I like to think that Hugh Jackman is 9 foot tall.
To be fair, he probably could be.
Isn't that classically the opposite though? Isn't he like a short king? Like, because he's not that big, he's not that tall. Or
No,
is that
he was
Wolverine?
too tall to be Wolverine.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's
he was
what
too tall to
that's
be
what I-
Wolverine, so in the movies they had to like have other characters stand on boxes to make them taller than him.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But anyway, Jeska's a 6'4" Randell, wearing leathers, well maintained, armored, carrying a mortuary sword and a shield.
There's a quiet gnome in the sort of background who hasn't said anything and just sort of nods.
I suppose Kluft, similar to Newton, is hunched over, only instead of trying to look like a man, he's trying to look more like a snail. And he's trying to get on that level, really. And he's just a pile of rags, basically, with feet. And he's got a single eye, and one shoe as well, a prize shoe. His life goal is to find the other, to find its mate.
Of that specific one.
Yeah, of that, like, not the same brand or like same make, but of that specific shoe. He'll know it when he sees it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tales old as time.
Yeah.
And then there's a lizard man as well who definitely hasn't said anything.
Yeah. He's just kind of there, and sometimes when the party like turns too quickly, the AI doesn't catch up in time, and it kind of just it goes into a tree and stops for a second.
I want
keep posing.
to lean over to Jeska, like really badly, and say very loudly, but with my hand like this, as if I don't want Dagmar to hear. We should take him with us in case the rat people want him. Then, you know, we can give him over in exchange for his shoes. I have a very conspiratorial look on me. I say this very loudly, by the way, so Dagmar probably hears it.
She is pinching the bridge of her nose very sharply, speaking in her native tongue, which I assume... I don't think anyone else here understands that, except Dagmar isn't from the same area, I don't think, is he?
What's your native tongue?
He's from Basset. She's from Basset, which is like one of the
Oh
most...
wait, I don't even know. No, I'm not.
Okay.
I know Common and Dwarvish.
Okay, cool. So, whatever, she's speaking in her own tongue for a bit, and then she goes, "Shut up," and then walks.
Was that a yes or a no to the plan?
Dagmar, you're coming with us. Let's go.
Yes, then.
So,
I swear to the pyre, I will set you alight myself.
People have tried. It doesn't work. I'm not flammable.
Let me try. We'll figure out the way.
it's not enough oxygen content around the air.
But all the oil would be prime catching material.
I do actually have some oil in my inventory.
It's the smell. It kind of smothers
Don't
it.
worry. Kluft generates enough of it.
That's true, yeah.
So,
now, if you light a
now
match
that the
in your
party is united and I don't have to keep track of two separate parties, hopefully this time around, this campaign, we keep a singular party and it's not just
No.
3 parties
No,
for 6 months.
no.
You've met us.
Well, in this campaign,
I'm gonna
actually,
try
it
my
might be-
best.
in this campaign, it actually might be more advantageous for us to be together at all times. In Dracoga Nights, it made sense for us to be separated at times.
For an investigator thing, yeah, it did make sense. But, so, you all start traveling. And because we'd made the rolls before, and I did some rolling as well, you continue moving, and it gets to... You're about maybe a half hour to an hour to where you would normally set up camp over the last few days. But before that happens, just 1 second. Before that happens, you're suddenly out of the forest. It's hard to see because it is getting dark, but it's not dark enough that you can't travel is the thing. But it's very hard. Obviously, as time goes on, it's harder to kind of differentiate like depth and forests. But you just kind of like the forest stops and you are now in a clearing. There's that has been cleared out, and what you see is perhaps a small bit of civilization.
Oh.
If you could call the collection of buildings and huts civilization. You see some lamplight and windows ahead of you down a kind of a twisting road. And you can faintly hear out in the distance the sound of some farm animals in the darkness. You think, because of Ashen's cleverness in navigation, that you cut off enough time that you were able to get to the village of Low Hill early.
Standing as far
So-
away from Kluft as he says this. Well, this is a breath of fresh air.
Agreed.
So you see kind of a small hamlet, essentially, sits in the middle of a large clearing that in the forest. It looks that maybe at one point in the past, this settlement was much larger, maybe rivaling like a large village. But you can see kind of further out you get from the center of this settlement, the more decrepit the buildings become. And towards the edge, it's a lot of just old ruins on the outskirts of the settlement. Many of them look like old homes. A couple of them are a bit larger here and there. Some old farm fields that have been just left fallow, and there's been some, yearly grasses continue to grow in there. So there's a couple like saplings and some of them as well. So yeah, that's what lays out in front of you. There's a road that twists.
Like a place where we would have stopped off, like I don't know what would you
From
call
where
it, like
you're at, you don't see. Like you're on the outskirts of the clearing, and then there's like a space. Then the outskirts of the town, which is just a lot of old ruins, and then you have
to head towards the town because she wants to try and find this place where they would have. I don't know if there would have been someone there as representative of the company that we hired the land train off of, but she wants to find them.
Okay. So, you all start down the road. And the closer you get, the more structure the road gets, until suddenly every other footstep you're kind of hitting cobbles instead of packed dirt, and then it transitions into kind of loose cobblestones. I need you all to make a scrutinize check.
Okay.
Scrutinize.
Ooh, not a good roll.
That's perception. Yes, it is.
And I just need you all to tell me how close you got. If you succeeded, how close you got to your yeah.
Sure.
If you succeeded.
Okay. Brain.
Okay, so scrutinize for me is a 55%, and I rolled
Okay.
a 9.
Nice.
So
Nice.
not close,
So-
but a success.
Failed 73 against 38.
Sure.
Fail. 90 against 51.
I was 17 away. I rolled a 28 against a 45.
Okay. And Kluft?
I got a 67, so I failed.
Okay, cool. So you continue walking, and you kind of round the corner of a whole bunch of old ruins, and you see what probably passes for the main thoroughfare of this hamlet, and kind of a built-up section of what look to be maybe not pristine, but cared for buildings. Like they're obviously being lived in, and you see some lights here and there. You start moving towards that, and as you get close, you all hear from behind you to the side of the roadway, you hear the unmistakable sound of a crossbow being drawn back to its fullest, to being cocked back, and a kind of an older individual's voice ring out of the darkness. Who stalks the night?
Jeska, I'm part of the land train that was supposed to be coming through here.
Okay, does anyone else answer anything?
Dagmar, son. We put in a Dwarven Caravan that was meant to come through here.
I'm with Jeska.
Kluft knows not to speak when a man with a crossbow asks something. He slinks into the grind.
All right.
Get
Well,
shot
you're
in
definitely
the face.
not hiding, because, yeah, that was an opposed check, and he rolled fairly well. So, he got within 5 of his target number, so.
Wow. Well done.
That's how opposed checks roll. Go. Remember, you have to get you're riding the
I
line
remember
to
it, but,
failure.
That was a really good roll.
Yeah.
On this count, so.
It was, yeah. He also has a fairly high check, so he had a good amount of leeway there.
Getting a roll under 10 then.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's the thing about opposed checks. You want them to be really close.
You want to get
yeah, you want to redline it. Yeah. So what you hear it before you see it. Somebody walking closer, probably off of a side street. A And it's odd because in the cobbles you hear normal boot step, hollow wood sound, normal boot step, hollow wood sound, normal boot step, hollow wood sound. Then out of kind of the darkness, you see an older individual, older man, human, moderate, like kind of build, average height, looks to be wearing kind of a blue gambeson that's worn away, like a lot of its color, like it's been worn for a long period of time, with kind of mixes of like a chain on top of that for extra armor. He's carrying a crossbow that you can see glinting in what's left of the light of the day. Some like it is well oiled, but it is but the wood is worn, so it's been used for a while, but it's well cared for. Balding, kind of salt and peppery, kind of like crown around, like very Picard kind of crown of hair, kind of around the back. And his right eye looks to be like just white, it's blind. And the hollow wood sound is a missing foot. He seems to have some sort of wooden foot that he is walking on, and gets closer to you so they can definitely see you fully. And he raises the crossbow. Sorry about that. I had to make sure everyone's... We had a lot of things happen lately.
Yeah, we've had a few more things to add to that.
I'm Benjamin. I'm the Night Guard, Sheriff.
Nice to meet you, Benjamin.
I'm not going to say it's nice to meet you. I would have hoped that you would have come in with more and unmolested, but
no,
we can
I'm
hope.
alive, right? That's the good part of it.
I'm glad you all made it. What happened?
Well, two separate things, I think. One, I can tell you what happened to us. We were crossing the Red Pike River when we found the bridge had been washed away with the... Well, we assumed the bridge had been washed away with the increased flow due to the snow melting. And our driver, Victor, he got out and we kind of discussed it for a little while, and he gave us the idea of chopping down a few trees and making a makeshift bridge to get the train across for a while. And we were in the middle of doing that when we were assaulted by a large horde of wolves. Victor, all of the other caravan goers are dead. It's just us. Myself, Newton J. Hemlock the third, right?
No numbers. It's just Newton J. Hemlock.
Newton J. Hemlock, Ashen, and I forgot. It's Drakel's...
Desertwind the third.
Desertwind
That's
the
third. That's what.
That's where the third.
Desertwind the third. That's the one with the third at the end of it. That's where it was.
Yep.
And well, to be frank, it's gone. The train got washed. In order to survive, we ran the train into the river and used it as a push. Use it to get across the bridge, and it's gone. The beasts of burden are dead. Everything's washed away. Everyone's gone. It's just us.
Shame.
There was a
you?
A giant wolf of some kind, red eyes. Something's out there.
We'll circle back to that. And you?
So I was part of the caravan trying to come up on the shortcut to... Give me a sec. What's the name again? Same title! The Dwarven Caravan that was going to be coming up this way. We were the ones who blew up the bridge. We were being...
You did that?
Yes, well, hold on. We were being chased by that same pack of wolves as these others. And in order to stop our pursuers, we used some of our gunpowder to blow up the bridge, thus trapping them on the other side and keeping us safe. We were going to alert yourselves when we reached the village, but before we reached that, the caravan was assaulted by a large organized mob of ratkin. And when I say organized, I mean organized. They had armor, they were well equipped, and they were expecting us. Or at least they were quite prepared for us.
Your night just got a lot more entertaining, didn't it, Benjamin?
Well, you got us. You almost got us all killed. And 2 people have been killed, and we were there. More importantly, their belongings have been put in water. So it's been
3
made
people
irrelevant.
well, no, sorry.
I'm very
I'll give you a
sorry for
count.
that, but if
Well,
we
actually, I'll
hadn't
give
done
you a
it,
count.
we would have ended even more
It's
dead.
Victor, the driver, Daniel, Rosemary, and Carter. So 4.
Yes, and they all had shoes as well. It wasn't like they didn't have shoes or anything, and belts made of real leather. I think I saw one. All in the water, waterlogged, gone forever.
Right, I think that's a secondary concern at this moment.
The
But
horseshoes.
that actually, I mean, good metal is always in demand, so I'll give you that one, strange man. All right. This is a lot to take in.
Yeah.
I can see you've been traveling for a while. Why don't I take you to the inn, put you up for the night, you'll get a rest, and then you can come and talk to me in the morning.
Where can we find you in the morning, Benjamin?
I'm literally the only guard and sheriff in the town, so ask
Just
for
ask.
me.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes, just ask for me. I'll, give me a couple hours in the morning so I can sleep, and then
Honestly,
we'll work
somewhere with a warm bed and something to eat would be delightful.
Diana will get you. Diana will help you, and he starts walking into the center of the village. Yep, and it's a very telltale clacking noise as his wooden replacement foot makes against the cobbles.
War or protection of the town?
Oh, I served in the prince's army when I was might younger. During the early part of the war, I took part in a lot of battles along the Gin River to the north.
Right.
Lost this one at the Battle of the Minstrels Road.
Ah, I've heard about that one actually. Didn't that have?
Actually, you would have heard about that, yes, because that is the battle in which the current prince's father died in a mass rout because of an ambush that was put on by the marches to the north. So there was and it's called the Minstrels Road because the prince's father really liked theater, and so he paid for a minstrel show for his men, and they were a part of a plot. So now it's called the Minstrels Road. It's up north. So yes,
that's an unfortunate thing to be involved in, isn't
it? It is what it is.
That's fair.
And just keeps walking forward. So as you get further into the town, what you see is that the buildings around get a bit better managed. They're still old, worn because of the age and probably a lack of manpower to keep things completely spick and span. But the road is kept, for the most part, clear. You can see what looks to be closed up carts, so maybe there's some merchants that sell goods around here, at least at some point in the week. Go a bit further and you get to the center of town, a big kind of wide center cobblestone square, where in the center you see kind of a I don't know if I could say it, like a pavilion, I guess, or a gazebo, but without the walled bits. Like a covered little area that has what you can see, like a couple of statues around the center of it, and beyond that, kind of a big ruin, a burnt out, like a large building. It used to have a tower to that side. He takes a turn from there and takes you to a very long building that looks a lot different than the other buildings in the village. And you can see in the light of some of the torches that are burning that it is called, just let me open this, the Lone Stag Inn. So it's just got a, it's got a symbol of like a stag in profile by itself. And it's, doesn't seem to be any lights on, but he goes up to the door and he just starts knocking. It'll take a minute. And he just keeps knocking and knocking until you finally hear, like, until you see like a lamp like quickly being lit on the second floor. And Dagmar would understand this, as it is in Dwarvish. Just a woman's voice yelling obscenities, and specifically saying, "I told you for the last time, Benjamin, I'm not giving you anything." And just walking down the stairs. If you want something, you gotta get it before the closing. And right before the door opens, he steps back, kind of crosses his arms, and you see opening the door is a small, stout, later middle-aged dwarven woman who's in like a nightgown, carrying like a candle.
I'll be right back. I've just got something I need to tend to.
It's totally fine. Carrying a candle, and right as she's about ready to start berating Benjamin, she stops and sees, and demeanor completely changes. Customers!
Good evening, my lady.
Hello! I didn't know the cart was... I didn't know we had any caravans coming through.
Oh, your dogs are all dead.
Well, yeah.
Oh,
You have us, though.
that's... There's plenty of room. And she kind of like steps aside, kind of waves that off. Customers, money. Steps aside, and you can see she starts going for like little like bits of like long thin sticks, and she like gets it lit, and she starts lighting candles kind of around the room, and kind of doors left open, and just, you can go in.
Is this a bar where one has to pay or trade, or can one simply owe favors? And
She
as I'm saying
stops.
this, I'm going to lick my hand and I try and pat down my hair a little bit, as if I'm trying to look more presentable.
She stops and goes,
He can sleep outside.
"Well, I don't want to do that.
I can sleep outside.
We can pay you, he can't. It's that simple.
And just, it's all right. I said I was gonna put you up for the night. You got a bed for the night.
A bed?
Yes.
I can go upstairs?
She goes, yes.
have a
I wanna like go towards him, to like try and like shake his hand like furiously, you know, like, oh, thank you.
all right. Stop. Okay.
You
Yeah,
might
when
want
my
to,
hand
like,
grips his, it's like there's 3 layers. It's like I'm wearing gloves.
you might want to like
Oh, right.
wash your entire body. Now.
I'll deal with it. No, they put it on my tab, Diana. And she just like gives him a kind of a mean look. Goes, by the way, I heard you mention it. Do you have any leftovers? I could use something on the watch. And she gets done lighting and stops, and then she just points over to a little like dish that's covered next to the door. Goes, great. Have a good one. And he leaves.
Once he's out of earshot, I turn to Diana and ask her kind of quietly, how much does he owe you?
Benjamin is the only individual that knows how to defend the town, so he default gets quite a lot of leeway with things. And if he's putting you up for the night, then
remind me, because I don't have the thing up right now. A inn's room is usually like what, a silver or a couple of copper?
An inn's room, depending on quality.
Yeah, like
course.
I don't know what this would be qualified as, but I think it's usually a couple copper, like for an okay room, right?
Well, just let me get here. That is listed somewhere in here. I know that.
I assume it would be in the concise rules somewhere, maybe. It is in the full book. I remember reading it
got it.
somewhere.
Yeah, night in a common room is 1 silver normally. Night in a private room is 5.
Okay.
Night above the stables, 6 brass pennies. It's
yeah,
okay.
I keep forgetting it's not copper, it's brass.
It's brass, yeah. It's just a little. It's brass. Copper's worth something.
Yeah.
It's fine. I just don't expect like a good meal. I've already put everything away, so
I have
some leftovers.
I have to object to the idea of brass being less than copper. Brass is just value added on copper.
He's got a point.
Mm.
As a dwarf, he would know that. So, metallurgy and all that. I hand her 7 silver. I reach into like the top of my uniform and pull out 7 silver and just hand it to her.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. And she just, it's gone as soon as it's in her hand. Yeah, it's gone. She's got it somewhere.
She put it in an inventory. It's gone now. It no longer exists.
yeah, that little jangling noise that goes in. Well, if this is the case, take a seat. I will get you something, and then you can go and have a rest.
But
no, you're not. And
yes,
she immediately leaves, and you hear a fire getting going. What you were left in is there is basically this. I'm not going to make you roll for it because you're all fairly because your characters probably know this. This looks not like a coaching inn. From what you can see, a coaching inn is normally kind of like maybe a 2 to 3 story kind of square building. It might have like a little, like it's made of stone. It's maybe got like a little courtyard and then attached stables. It's kind of like it's all one thing. This looks like a retroactively made coaching inn. This is much closer to a setup of maybe an old like hunting lodge that's been expanded upon through the years. So it's a very rustic wooden construction. It's got like reinforcements of stone and some walls. It looks like, honestly, as you were walking up, this looks older than all the rest of the buildings in the town. Just from like how worn the wooden stone is. But you were left in a large kind of long room that has a couple of long tables, a hearth on one side that is. The coals are still warm, but the fire is out, so it's not like cold in here. It's just it's an average temperature.
Warmer than it was outside.
Yes, definitely. And there are chairs set up next to the tables, and there are candles lit. So it is warm-ish and not dark. So it's an improvement than outside.
I will eye the chair suspiciously and slowly venture into one, but like be constantly like shaking as if it's gonna fall at any second. Like I don't trust it to like hold up the weight of a person. You suspect this might be the first time Kluft has sat on a chair.
Can it hold up the weight of a Newton?
Probably
these are fairly sturdy and made to accommodate as many people as they can because the road train takes all. So not all of them can, but there are a couple on the table that are made to be kind of reinforced.
So can Ashen take one of the bigger chairs as well and just curl up like a cat?
Sure, we'd like.
Jeska's gonna close the door to keep what little heat there is in.
Yeah, and
Now you're trapped
Yeah,
inside with the smell of Kluft.
It's unfortunate, but I would rather smell Kluft than be cold.
the longer you look, by the way, the more this gives off the vibes of being an old hunting lodge, because there are active trophies hanging from the walls.
Is there any ratkin heads on the wall at all?
No, there's a couple of stags, like fairly impressive ones actually, with like
12-point
big,
stags.
yeah, very very big. There's a boar's head among like above the hearth, like in a place of honor,
Importance.
yeah, importance. And a like old like boar hunting spear that has been like it is on the wall, like mounted in between two stags, old enough that like the wood looks like it's not petrified, but like dry rotted. Like it's you could hit somebody pretty hard with this and it wouldn't break. Like kind of
Jeska's looking at
old.
all of them and then stops on the spear and is like, you know, that has history. She looks interested in that.
Yeah, and yeah, you hear a kitchen, utensils and pots kind of shuffled around a little bit, and the fire is going, and heat's kind of coming back through the room, and yeah, if you're just kind of alone now in this inn. It's the first time in quite a few days that you've kind of been able to sit down and not be in the middle of nowhere.
Eventually, I'll sit down, pull out my journal, and just read what I've been writing in it recently.
Yeah.
I'm
Just
gonna
quiet.
when I see Jeska pull out her notebook, I'm gonna go over and I want to show her the profile I've been writing up of her, and I want to see how accurate I've gotten it. So I don't know if you want me to do like a scrutinize to see how accurate I've gotten my initial profile of the individual
I'll ask Mikey, how open has Jeska been kind of outwardly?
I'm gonna say scrutinize, but challenging, because she doesn't know you, and you also didn't help when the trees were being chopped down, and you might have been able to cut down in time quite a bit if you helped. So it'll
be a challenging scrutinize check.
Scrutinize check, yeah.
So what is that?
Yep, which is
It's a negative
10.
roll, yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Or
so
a plus
that-
10 to the
So I get a plus 10.
So it's
So
basically
it's-
just like rolling against your
So
standard.
it's rolling against my
attribute.
standard. So I failed, but only it was a 40. I needed a 45%, but I got a 56. So I would have technically
So
failed
within
anyway.
one-
You get external details, which if Mikey would like to go into, or describing some external details
only
about.
thing is if
Jeska?
any identifying jewelry or marks where jewelry might have been. That's other things that he looks for. He's trying to get a full profile.
Jewelry.
And it's not. It's and you see this. This is like as surface level as possible. There is still like a big section which is like internal thoughts, which are saying there is one marking on it so far because he's an open book and an arsehole. It says overly generous, maybe making up for something, but
by the way,
the rest
This
is like
is,
physical description.
This is
and
fun. Kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah. Roach, by the way, since I actively paid the woman, do I get a fate point for following my order alignment?
For following your order alignment.
My order alignment is humility.
Is humility. Cool. No, I'm just gonna make. I have to just make. That's a good point. I have so many reference sheets above. I'm just gonna make a little check mark here. That'll come across later.
Cool. And when it comes to jewelry, one of her ears might have been pierced at some point. It's not there anymore. It's her left ear specifically, and on her right hand, her pinky finger and her index finger look like they might have had rings on them for a few years, but they were taken off and haven't been on for a while. So like the little ring kind of tan line that was there is no longer as obvious. But other than that, there's not really any like outward. Well, the biggest marking is obviously the mark of her order, the Order of the Pyre on the shield.
So, did you have to give up the finery for the order, or is this something else?
No, and she says.
Actually, I would like Newton to roll a history check.
Ooh.
Folklore.
Not a history check, a folklore check.
Folklore, which is an intelligence-based skill. What sort of difficulty is this?
I'm gonna say because I know where you're from and I know where Jeska's from, it's gonna be another challenging check.
Okay, well I got a 25 and I needed a 63. So
you're good.
Multiple orders of success there.
Be back in a second. Gonna get Heather's meds.
Sure.
Yep. You actually, you do know this order. You would be aware of them as a entity. Maybe not as common in your local area, but common enough. Jeska is a part of the Order of the Martyrs' Pyre. So,
And which side of the spectrum are they?
The Order of the Martyrs' Pyre is not currently. They don't have a side in the current conflict.
It's not to a king or a kingdom. It's to a creed or a code.
Well,
In fact, I actually
I'm
say
talking
since
with the
you are an
religious
investigator,
schism, where are they? Like, where are they in the
Yeah.
alignment?
I would say because you are you are an investigator. You've probably worked as in like a city guard or a city capacity as an individual of authority within a structure. The Order of the Martyrs' Pyre, individuals of that are not well trusted by established power structures because they do not swear oaths to kings or nations. They swear oaths to ideas, and Order of the Martyrs' Pyre does not. They detest the current conflict, and they work kind of on both sides, but for the betterment of the small folk.
Common folk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
It's
I look
more
at
of
them
a,
They're
go,
like the
it's not-
hospitalier, I suppose, would be a good way to put it. I think.
I
Kind of,
mean,
except they're
no,
not on
they-
both sides.
they-
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
They're there to try
more
and
like
look after people.
more like the idea of the Brotherhood Without Banners, but actually doing what they're supposed to be doing instead of being kind of a front.
Yeah.
So that's kind of-
Hey,
so,
the Brotherhood Without Banners was not a front
They,
at first.
at first.
at first. Yeah.
Newton goes because Newton. Well, there might be some times that you might want to hide those marks, but I'm aware of your work, and I do say you've gone up in my books, and you literally see him write like
Plus one.
plus one, yeah, in his book.
There's like a little like tracker of
Just a
like
scoreboard.
dislike, and just move it towards the plus.
But until I get a full picture, I cannot discern you fully. But thank you. You've been most open. Writes that down.
That's right.
Is there anything Kluft would be doing during the time that you're in the that this is
Is
going
there
on?
anyone else in the inn?
No, when you enter, no. It was basically it was empty and dark when you came inside, and Deanna has just like quickly lit all of the candles. In fact,
Sure.
somewhat poorly because a couple of them went out, but it's homely enough. But it's just empty. It's warm, which is nice, and it's fairly clean. Like it's a country inn. It's not it's not spick and span, but you've been in worse. You've been in a lot worse.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to like. Is there any silverware? What's the cutlery like?
It's a country inn. This is like wooden,
Wooden.
like a wooden spoon, and then maybe like a little twist. Like if you know medieval cutlery, like a twisted knife, like a twist handle knife, kind of there.
If I
with-
Okay,
see
cool. I'm just like, I'm
Kluft
taking-
stealing, can I smack him round the head?
He has it. He hasn't stolen anything yet. He'll do that on the last day. He's not gonna risk his evening, his like this room.
Yeah, it's pretty
I'm just taking what I'm doing now is I'm taking note of things. I'm like like looking for
Chasing.
things. Yeah, like I say that he's looking for things like he's looking to make note of like things of value, but like to him value is stuff like weird looking bits of wood and stuff, you know, like so
Yeah.
just kind of things like that.
Cast-offs, things like that.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know, like oddly dispersed lint, wood shavings and stuff like that that have fallen in images.
I will
That
make
sort of
note
stuff.
of that. I will
Yeah,
make note of that if
yeah.
it comes up. And while that's going on, does Ashen do anything during this period, or is just kind of resting?
Stays quiet and watches, eats what they've been given, but just quiet and watches.
Oh, we've
So
been given food?
Well, no, that brings up that hadn't happened yet, but now I was just getting if there was any roleplay stuff before that happens. But yes, you were provided with a very basic,
Nice.
cut. Like it's a cut of like cured meats, probably like a day old bread loaf, and some cheeses, like hard basic cheeses, like rugged like cheese, and kind of like just a mix there. Like you can have some slices of bread, some slices of like basic cured meats, nothing too spicy or really interesting, and some
Thank you, Diane.
cheeses. Yeah, she just provides it. It hasn't really been it wasn't well cut or anything. She just kind of quickly
Jeska
made
does
it.
not care. She's like, she
Yeah.
didn't ask for food, she didn't want the food, but she'll take the food.
Yep. And she goes, once you're finished with that, you can stay down here, have yourself a glass or two if you need it. The cask's over there, self-serve. And second floor, main room, pick whatever bed you want and just have the night. And she just goes, if there's anything else you need, just kind of bang on one of the supports, and I'll probably hear you after a bit. And she kind of like bids you adieu and goes up. She goes through a door, and then you hear like steps, probably up a staircase beyond the that doorway. And yeah, you were provided with some food. If you would like, there is like a couple of like
gone.
hanging. Yeah. There's a couple of like hanging like wooden tankards next to like just a cask with a tap in it. Like on the side of like next to a wall, and so you can take a tankard and pour yourself something if you want. It's like if any of you have it, it's a very basic kind of weak brew, but it's something to drink.
She'll take it.
Yeah, it's something to drink. And yeah, if there's nothing else anybody wants to do, basically you can rest here for the night. There is a barrack style set up, like kind of their bunk beds essentially in a main room that you can sleep in. Probably it was basic accommodations for like a large amount of people coming in on like a road train or something like that, like a most cost effective sleeping arrangement that she could get going. And yeah, beds are not, I mean, it's not great, but it is serviceable. And if you all
Yeah. I think so obviously Kluft will like wolf down the food like immediately and drink as much as he can and like just basically like take, advantage of the position that he's found himself within. But in terms of the beds, I think he'll probably try to sleep on the bed, like being all like this is so luxurious. But I don't think he can probably sleep on the bed. Like he probably isn't comfortable in the
too
bed.
soft.
Yeah,
Need something
so
hard.
So I think what he does is he'll crawl underneath the bottom bunk, like underneath the bed, and like sleep under the bed on the hard wooden floor.
Yeah, there's plenty of room. But everybody else, yeah, if you would wish to, you can sleep. And by doing so, by taking a night and sleeping in a warm bed with food, you all recover to unimperiled now.
Yay!
So you lose all
God,
your
I was
peril.
so imperiled. I was so
Yeah.
imperiled. Oh Lord.
It's actually a very interesting mechanic that doesn't go away until you sleep
Yeah.
somewhere like nice. Like I like that because that means dungeon delving is like you have to like
Nightmarish at times.
yeah you have to like how many days is this gonna take because we can't.
Because if we get imperiled, then we have to like
You have to
we either have to like
stay
be
in-
okay with being imperiled for a long time or go and find a place to stay that's warm.
Yeah. So all of you wake up in the morning. And
Well, that's lucky.
yeah,
Could have been a lot worse, guys.
I rolled that one. Yeah, somebody had an infection. They're dead. They didn't know it. No.
We're playing aces and eights now? Like, what did I miss?
The funny thing is, this makes ace. This actually has, I think, a better system for modeling that than aces and eights, while still having it.
No, but aces
like
and eights,
having
you
it.
could die in character creation because of diseases.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You could die as a kid with cholera or something like that. Yeah, it was great.
Sound like
It's Western, old history Western. Not a lot of choices there. So yeah, you wake up in the morning and to the smell of cooking food, of breakfast being cooked, and the sound of a hearth in the main kind of inn section of the building. And oddly enough, like the sound of an active settlement, but not a large one, like like kind of an empty one in a lot of cases, like more echoey than you would expect. But yeah, you're definitely in civilization as much as you can be in this area. And if you would all like to, when you wake up, you can go down to the main inn space. There's places set, and a hearty breakfast of just like a bowl of like oats and some cooked like sausages, a few like more cuts of cheese, kind of just like a hearty, cheap country breakfast. Like it's not meant to be tasty. It's meant to be filling. It's something that gets you through to lunch, essentially, or dinner if you're unlucky. So it kind of sticks to your bones, but enough that you don't have to worry about like starvation.
So,
or anything like that.
Do I have to worry about starvation because I am the body size where I need extra?
Right. I'm going to say because you were paid through this time, you're fine.
Right.
But you will, and you're not necessarily paying for the food. You're just like getting like a communal thing, and you're just taking extra helpings for it. So yeah. Though you take larger helpings. But
I'm a growing lad.
Ever growing.
Yeah,
so...
from 720 to 760 pounds.
So yeah,
I'm counting.
what would you all like to do?
Gotta go.
Yes, Ashen.
Is there a temple in the village?
Do you inquire, or are you just looking?
Just looking.
Just looking. You see in the light when you go outside, you get a better view of kind of this hamlet, really. Size of a village, but definitely has the population of a hamlet. You can see across the square from the inn what looks to be a large burnt out ruin that at one point was probably a temple that has just been kind of left there, but probably wasn't originally made this way, but has been retroactively made. Is this center kind of pavilion or gazebo or whatever you want to call it, made of stone with kind of like nicely made. Some money went into this. In the center of the square, there in the covered area are 5 statues that are arrayed.
Can I go find the one of Aya?
Yeah, you can if you go in there. It's not very large. What you expect is there's probably a traveling priest or a traveling like holy man or woman that'll come around here and probably do open air ceremonies at like various times from the setup. But yeah, there's like a little statue, probably half size of a person, kind of like on a little pedestal of a this one looks like an amorphous kind of amalgam of a lot of forest animals, kind of as exuding kind of a spiritual skinwalker, shape changer kind of effect to it. Not uncommon.
I just sit in front of it for a bit.
Okay. What does everyone else do during the morning?
Well, I'm going to eat, and then
Yep.
I'm going to check on if anyone needs apothecary services.
Okay. And then what is Kluft doing? We'll just go down the rest. And
I'm gonna look for some really interesting trash around here and try and collect it.
Okay. Newton?
How quickly do I find out that Dagmar's an apothecary?
I'm going to say since he's not really hiding it, probably almost immediately.
Yeah, I'm carrying lots of apothecary.
Carrying a pack with a whole bunch of bottles and stuff, yeah.
What kind of tinctures does he have? I'm going to inquire. Dagmar, what tinctures do you carry? I myself only have some Black Lotus. I think the leeches didn't smash in the crash, but and I've got some smelling salts. But do you have any extra I could perhaps acquire?
Oh, let me have a look here. I've got some Black Lotus myself. Mind all leeches is alright.
Okay, so we have the exact same, like it came.
Quicksilver, royal water, smelling salts. Yeah.
You picked up the same traveling kit as I did then. Oh, no matter, no matter. However, if you do find any interesting cases on your exposure, I was doing a study recently into some local plague outbreaks, and that's actually why I'm on this journey. Someone was forcibly spreading plagues in remote villages around. There was a track of them. So if you find anyone with somewhat obscure symptoms and chronic illness that they don't know where they got it from, inform me. And then I'm going back to sit down and continue writing, because that's all Newton ever does.
Okay. And Jeska, what do you wanted to do in the morning?
So first thing in the morning was eat. Then I'm going to go find. Actually, no, Benjamin's sleeping. I'm going to go and just take a walk around town to see what the town is like. It's not a big town.
Okay.
Take a walk.
Awesome. So we'll just take this Kluft. You walk around this hamlet, and what you find is that it's a fairly small settlement. A lot of the outskirts are kind of abandoned. So you immediately track in on that. There's got to be some salvage in those old buildings. But what you can kind of make some assumptions about this, given your understanding of history and what's happened around this area in the previous couple of decades. This probably was on the front line for a while, and that's probably why a lot of these buildings are abandoned. There's definitely some damage to quite a few of them.
Yeah.
Maybe not that Kluft pays much mind to current goings on or politics. But you're looking. You look around and you can definitely tell this has been picked over. The outskirts have been picked over quite clean. It's probably been abandoned for years. There's not a lot of good refuse or anything around. Though you do notice that there are active merchants that deal in like very limited wares, and you're not seeing a lot of coin being exchanged. So you might be able to track in. There might be a bit of a barter opening to trade things around this area if the need comes up in the future. And I'm going to say that probably searching around probably takes up most of the morning as you're going through a lot of these.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just gonna
are there
roll
any
something.
dogs? Dogs tend to know where the
Dogs?
best stuff is. Yeah. I find some food and stuff.
I'm going to say...
I could get in a dog fight. It happens sometimes.
Actually, the funny thing is you don't find a lot of animals around here other than the farm animals in a few of the active farms around the village. It's actually odd that it's so empty of those.
That's
no
kind of weird,
dogs,
isn't it?
Not a cat that you can find.
That would be unusual, right? Like
It would be, because those kinds of animals follow civilization around everywhere. Like, you can't not get around it. Actually, give me a scrutinize check. I'm gonna say give me a scrutinize check with a +10 because of your background. Actually,
can it be an awareness check?
No, it's got to be a scrutinize check.
No,
you get a
I don't
+10
have
though.
scrutinize. Yeah. Okay, let me roll that. Let's see. And it is. Oh, it's an 80. So it's a fail.
It's an 80. Yeah, that's about. Yeah, you don't notice the large animal, like any of like the cats or dogs around here. It's fairly empty of those, so it's odd.
Huh.
Odd that they're gone.
That is odd. That
It
is
is.
odd. See, don't trust that. I don't like that. That makes me nervous. That like without dogs and stuff around, like I'm not able to. Yeah, that's just weird. And there's farm animals. There are horses.
Actually, no, you don't find any horses. You do see there are a couple of cows and a small flock of sheep.
Yeah. Some sheep, huh?
Yeah, a couple. Probably at this point in the year, they've been sheared already. So they're just kind of they're fresh sheared.
I was gonna go steal some wool on a farmer.
Yeah, no, they're fresh sheared sheep. They're just kind of mingling about. They look.
It's like proper larceny, right? Like this is like proper thievery.
Yeah.
I'm
I want to
sure
steal
like you would
something.
be actively hung for like stealing someone's produce like that.
But and yeah, most of the farm animals
I have points in larceny and points in stealth for this reason.
They look healthy enough. They like
Sure.
they're not like emaciated,
Okay.
but they're not like flush. So say that's your morning. Dagmar,
Yes.
you see the center of commerce in the town is the square, the town square, the center of the town. There are a couple of stalls set up by locals. You see probably like a handicraft individual. She's got like just a basic like little knickknacks, some like small like knives and bits that she's kind of made, like nothing like very useful, but stuff you need around the house or like in a cabin or something like that kind of stuff. There's one selling some clothes, cloth, things like more components than pre-made things. You can see this. Most of the stalls are empty. Looks like it has a capacity for more than there are. And as you go around the day, or in the morning, say as you inquire about if anybody would need some herbalism or some apothecary work, you are told the town does have an herbalist that does do business here, specifically nearby the main square is Hester's Tonics and Remedies. But they do indicate that they haven't seen Hester in a couple of days. So they point out like the little hut. It's like a little squat building with no windows but a door. A little sign out front that's like handwritten with like a little paintbrush. It looks to be closed. What you can see. There are a few people that inquire. Oh, do you have some tonic for gout or like actual medicines, which you do not have. You do not have. Though you
That's
think
the whole point of me coming to this herbalist, so I could acquire them.
yes. And if you inquire about where you might be able to find the components to then make some stuff, again, they point you to Hester's Tonics and Remedies, which is currently closed. So it's kind of like a big circle, you see, basically all throughout the morning of like, do you need something? No, we have Hester. But if you have this, that'd be good. Okay, I don't have that. Where can I buy this? Hester. kind of like back kind of thing.
It's a catch-22. Just repeats.
Yeah, it's a circle. It's just a circle, right back on itself. Jeska. So you just kind of going around the town, just kind of like keeping an eye out on things, is what you're doing?
Yeah, she's just like, Benjamin's asleep, so she thought, well, I might as well go do a patrol if he's asleep.
Yeah, and what she notices, it's not dour. Like not everybody's like it's not like a stereotypical medieval setting for a bad movie or something like that where everything's gray and it's just like gray. It's just people walking around. Yeah.
Well, we're running around like Van Helsing.
Yeah. It's more like there are people like laughing and talking. Like some individuals have brighter clothing than others. It's somewhat well kept and clean, but it's like. There's just the sheer number of people has shrunk and they just can't occupy the area as much anymore, so it's kind of shrunken.
Any like anyone who's like Benjamin's age or a little older around, just around?
A few. There's a washerwoman that you see kind of like managing probably a couple of like households' clothes that she's just washing for some coin. Looks to be probably close to Benjamin's age. You also would know that Deanna, being a middle-aged dwarf, is probably equivalent to Benjamin's age as an older human.
Yeah. But Diana is currently, I assume, back at the inn doing her things back there.
Actually, she wasn't there this morning. She just had things laid out for you for the morning.
Wherever she is. So
she's wherever she is doing her.
So I'm gonna go up to this washerwoman and, excuse me, madam, would you be okay if I talk to you for a minute?
What do you want?
I was just wondering, has this town been shrinking? Like, has there been like a lot? Have people been leaving the town for whatever reason?
How much you want to know? How much do you want to know it?
Well, that depends on the price, as everything, right?
My memory may be a little faulty, but I might have something that lubricates the gears a little bit.
Can I make a...
Are you sure this is a washerwoman and not a shoe shine?
Both.
Hey, listen, if somebody's washing clothes in a rural village, she's doing a lot of things to make money at this point.
She knows all of the dirt, Mitch.
That's a skill everybody knows in this time period.
Yeah.
Time period for a rural settlement. She's got to be good at this.
Yeah.
If she's got
like
nothing
if
people
she's
pay her.
capable of keeping multiple households of clothes clean in this setting, she's important enough to know things.
I'll say if you're wanting to negotiate, like
could I use a bargain or a charm?
I'll say bargain, but it'll be an opposed check with this. Okay.
That is a... Oh, wow, that's really good. That's a 47 versus a 50.
Okay, well, she failed horribly, so... you got a brass penny?
She reaches into the top of her uniform again. Well, not her uniform, her leathers, and pulls out 2 brass pieces.
Like, lights up. Whatever you want to know.
Okay, and she'll hand her the brass pieces.
She'll take the brass pieces and put it in like a little inside pocket of her belt.
Okay, so
no, the people have been going north to St. Tillo. There's all the men have been called up for service from the prince over the years. Had a good stretch of workers come in over the last few months, half year, but they're all gone now. They got scared off.
Do with the land train, maybe? Is that why the land workers were here?
No, they were what do you call them? They had the axes. They chopped down trees. The
Lumbermen.
Tree choppers. Yes, yeah, that one. She's not very educated.
Do you know why the lumbermen were scared away, by chance?
couple of them got taken.
Taken.
Yeah, there's a place where they work out in the woods. A couple of them got taken and they left.
All right.
They got scared off.
Did any of them stay here? Maybe they had a family here or had time to find anything like that?
Benjamin might know better. Last I heard, though, I think there was one, because he was local.
All right. Yeah.
But he didn't come back here.
Oh.
He went to that elven town.
There's an elven town.
Yeah, you go down the Red Pike a few days down some of the side roads. It's a big old swamp where the Red Pike and the God damn it, Mitch, where the Red Pike and the Torrings meet.
Roach, we had a conversation about swamp elves.
Shut up. Shut up. Nobody else knows this.
So where the Red Pike and the Torrings meet, there is a small settlement, I assume? Elves?
Everlon, I think is what it's called. It means something in their tongue.
Would I know that because of my heritage?
Do you have Elvish as a language?
One of her parents were Elvish. That was the whole thing.
Just roll a d10 for me.
D10. Okay. Ow, I stabbed myself with my pen. I'm stupid. That's 6.
Okay, cool. Everlon means tall house.
Tall house.
Yeah.
She looks like she recognizes that word, but doesn't say anything on it, unless she's asked. Okay. Interesting. But he went back there. Does he have family there or something, maybe?
I don't know.
That's fair enough, I suppose. So these workers came in here 6 months ago. They left. Most of the men are being called away to war, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's a man came through, big fat man, wearing the colors, carrying a tall pendant, was spent all day in the center of the town, just talking about how good it was, what you get paid for drinks,
sergeant.
and
Hey.
and it took a whole gaggle of young men out about 3 or 4 months ago.
Oh, hopefully they all come back in one piece.
Sorry, I'm not there, so I just realized.
Kluft is just
There's a question I really want you to ask.
Just Kluft comes out of the wash basin.
I don't know. He wouldn't come out of the wash basin because it's water.
The dirty basin of the wash.
Dirty basin,
So he's even more dirty while being wet.
Yeah.
Yep.
If it wasn't dirty before, it is now.
It is now.
Yeah.
Why are they coming out black?
Why is it like tar? It's like fucking tar all of a sudden.
Anything else you want to know, Miss Knight?
Let me think. I don't think there's anything that comes to mind right now, but if I have any other questions, could I come find you?
Sure. Also, I do laundry for anyone who asks. Don't matter how hard the stain is, I'll get it out.
Your clothes are actually pretty clean.
I'll get it out, or half your money back. I also, if you need it, I'll watch kids. For some time. I'll keep an eye on them. I'm keeping an eye on a few right now. So they're fine. Also, I do some gardening. So if you need flowers, I could give that, or basically anything. If you need anything, just let me know.
I might know a guy who might want some flowers. But thank you for your time.
Yep, just ask for Dolores. And she just goes back to scrubbing.
So, Dolores.
Yep.
And she keeps walking. She will just patrol around town at this point until Benjamin's awake.
So she mentioned that people were getting scared away.
Yeah, which I assumed was the rat folk, personally.
Yeah,
Jeska assumes
was
it's
it?
rat folk. It's either rat folk or the wolves.
Right.
Or both, maybe.
Or rat folk riding wolves.
Oh god, no, please.
just
In full Skaven, just
yeah.
Or it was swamp elves, apparently. No, it was that.
Swamp elves.
I can't get out of my head like an elf with like a thick Somerset accent, just like living in
Oh, no.
or in like backwater America, like what
yeah,
do you call it?
Florida,
The-
like
was
thick
it
Florida accent.
the what was it, the
Cajun?
where
Is that what you're
dueling
thinking of? Like-
banjos come from? The song, what film is that? Deliverance.
Yeah, Deliverance, yeah.
Deliverance. Yeah, Deliverance.
Elf Deliverance, just like
So yeah, I'm gonna say those are your mornings, and just because doing this organically takes a long time, and I hate having the party split again. You all come back together in the afternoon after, I'm gonna say, Benjamin sends out some runners, some like little kids who come and find the new folk in town and tells you where to meet them. And Benjamin
Couple of
is
stand out quite well.
yeah, actually it's very easy. So yeah, you're all got and brought, and Benjamin's just sitting on
Before
the
I
gate.
go back, can
Yes.
I get 3 arrows?
Very specific.
Buying 3 arrows from like a stall or something.
Yeah, I need. I've used 2 of my arrows, so I need to restock.
Right. Yes, you can buy them for the listed price in the book with a 10% increase in cost. And if that works out to being an odd number or something like that, you can just it rounds up. So just you know. So yes, that happens. You're all brought back. Benjamin's just in front of the inn. He's sitting on a wooden chair, just in front of the Lone Stag Inn. Long Stag, just a very long deer. Yeah, Lone Stag Inn, and he's just sitting in a little chair, what looks to be like a little like fire pit that maybe they would have had for the road train guests. Like if you want to spend a night under the stars, we'll get a fire pit going, and you can just kind of like sit on a log or something like that. He's just sitting out there waiting for all you to get there.
Afternoon, Benjamin.
Have a good night.
Yes, thank you.
It's good. So I had some time to kind of think over everything you said. So it's a lot to take in.
Yes.
We already knew about the bridge. We had a group of locals try to go down south about 3 or 4 days ago and come back on horseback. So we already knew about that, though I wish you would have been here maybe a day ago. Because we already sent a group up north on the North Road to try and get through to the Baron's home up at Lienzing to try and get some workers to rebuild the bridge.
You're gonna need more than workers.
Maybe. Though the problem is one of the horses came back.
With no rider?
We had to put it down, but there was no riders.
May I inspect the horse?
I don't think it's in one piece anymore.
Ah, you ate it. Ah, I see. Well,
Meat's expensive in this part of the country.
I'm fully aware. I require more than my half fill. So I hold it not against you, but should you want us to check on it next time, or someone to explore, maybe hold
I
off
didn't
this
know
one.
you existed until last night, so
Well,
wasn't much
The man
purpose.
has a point. Meat kind of, spoils and all that.
did you at least
Not good.
detail the injuries?
Experience it doesn't.
I'm not gonna examine that sentence.
You really shouldn't.
It had been hit in the arrow. It had been hit by an arrow in the neck.
Do you have the arrow? Did our ranger just buy it?
Maybe.
It's just a weird evil arrow. No, just
Why does this arrow have blood on it?
yeah.
Oh.
No, it tried. Hester tried helping the horse, but it was a broadhead, so we had to snap it, and it just didn't. Couldn't get it to. Yeah, so it didn't really work out too well. So it was a pretty standard arrow. It wasn't anything out of the ordinary about it. We sell similar ones in town, Fletcher.
There wasn't any kind of like marks or anything on the arrow that stood out, maybe the plumage or anything?
No, pretty basic. It's a bit ratty.
You mean literally ratty, or?
No, as in it had been gone through. It had been used heavily, and so fletching wasn't pristine.
No.
So yes, wish you had told us about the bridge a bit earlier.
Well, we were trying not to die, so.
I understand. And you technically weren't over the bridge until recently, so that didn't also matter. All right. You
Shouldn't have told him about your bridge.
And you say you got attacked by Ratkin on the way up.
Yes, that would be true. We were attacked by Rat King.
Right. That explains things. You've been having some trouble lately with attacks in the forest. Unconfirmed attacks. And drove off last of the workers.
Yeah.
You mentioned your herbalist there, Hector, yes? I was actually
Hester.
interested to Hester, yes. I was actually looking for him earlier today. Would
you
know
and half
where
the
he
town.
had gone?
He left to go and get some of whatever he uses in the forest about 2 or 3 days ago.
Did he go north or south?
He usually goes by himself. He doesn't like other people knowing what he gets and where he gets it from. Strange man.
You gotta hide your supply, right? Otherwise everyone can just
I
find what you
suppose he was he left. Nobody thought it was too odd until about 2 days ago. He didn't return. Normally it takes him a day or two to come back after going out, but he hasn't been seen. So everybody's kind of people are worried,
So if I
especially with what's going on.
We may have to go look for this fella.
So when this horse returned without rider, this was how long ago? Because
About 3 days ago, we sent people off pretty soon after we got word about the bridge. So we sent off. We had the town blacksmith and the other 2 guards that had been left went together to try and organize a group. We also we were trying to get a host together. We've kind of pooled up all our cash, all our coin to try and buy a few, few armsmen, maybe, to try and help around here.
riders sent off. 1 horse returns without rider.
Yes.
Apothecary puts down horse. Apothecary then goes to same location to pick up herbs.
Maybe not same location. I don't know where he goes. They went north, up the north road.
He was seen.
They went up the north road.
So he wasn't seen exiting the city, town, village. Sorry,
He usually goes at night. Sometimes I see him, sometimes I don't. I don't know where he goes in the end. Sometimes he goes to the east, sometimes he goes to the west, south, north. He's got places he goes.
But at the end of the day, he ends up in the forest, I assume, right?
And at the end of the day, he ends up in the forest, and that's kind of all around us. So, your guess.
See, at the end of the day, that seems to be the most common factor here, is the forest.
Well, it's old.
The place is surrounded by forest. So
Yes.
True, unless something was burning the town itself, it would have to, by default, be something in the forest. So, yes, I guess process elimination.
How often does your local lord check in?
Well, next time he does, that'll set the record.
So never. Fantastic.
No fair. This fucking.
At least not since I started living here.
And how long ago is that? Would you say? Yeah.
I've been here about 20 years.
Oh,
That would make sense.
So
That would make sense.
About
since
20 years.
Since you mentioned
Originally from Rose Glen. Originally, but
on the opposite
wanted to
side.
settle down somewhere nice. You know, you can't always hit 6 on a dice. You know, sometimes you gotta go with what you roll, and I didn't get lucky. So, yeah, what
While you're alive and you fought in the wars, I'd say you're pretty lucky, Benjamin.
glass is always half empty or full. It kind of goes either way. So, yes.
Glass.
Yeah, well, yeah, at least you got the glass. That's looking on the bright side.
That's expensive. That's
Yeah.
expensive.
Things are going well for you then.
Yeah. But yeah, we can't. I don't know. Hester would know more about what happened to the horse. He was the one there, and he's the one that put it down, and he couldn't help it. But I can't. I don't know where he is. I can't. I'm the only guard left in the town. I can't go. Not just saying there's Ratkin around, Raven and Raiden, and Roven and other R's, and
Scuttle.
also apparently and
Big
also
Scuttle.
yes, yeah, and apparently also an endless horde of wolves.
It's a very interesting place you've decided to settle down in.
You know,
Woods.
yes.
So,
The
let's
best
put
times,
this-
it's pretty nice.
let's put this in a nice little list, shall we? So, find our herbalist. List number 1. List number 2. Figure out what the fuck is wrong with this forest. 3. If we can't figure out what's wrong with the forest, we go to Leonzing and let the local baron know that there is a big problem around here, and he needs to send people out.
Why
That about
would
take
he care?
Well,
no, you can leave. I'm not going to make you stay if you don't want
No,
to.
I'm saying, why would the Baron care? If you come to the Baron with bad news, he'll just chop your head off.
Maybe you. I don't particularly have the option.
Oh, he'll
He
chop your
doesn't-
head off. You've got a mouth on you. Barons
doesn't
don't
really
like
have
people
that
with
option.
mouths.
He doesn't really have that option with me.
Sure he does.
So
He's got lots of fellas with axes, I bet. They have them back in the
Technically-
city.
the smelly man does make a small point that you would need somebody from the village to actually be there with some power. That's why we sent the blacksmith. He's technically, he's a high enough
The Reeve.
in the hierarchy to well, the mayor's here, but good luck getting him to go.
Okay.
Barons are always chopping people's heads off. It's what they do. It's their job.
Does the Baron still collect taxes?
Yes.
How often?
We normally send what we collect throughout the year, about the first of the year. We send it a big lump. Some mayor keeps it local, keeps it kind of together.
Jules,
Truth be told, we haven't had
Just for
like
my own
anybody
knowledge-
from the south. Yes.
My own knowledge. Where are we timeline in the year? Like,
It's about we're on the tail end of winter.
okay.
So we're on the tail end of winter. So they would have sent it a couple of months back.
Well,
If it sounds like you're wanting to help, or it sounds like you have no choice because you can't go back and you can't go forward without knowing what's in front of you.
Well, I want.
So I'm gonna.
I can't speak for anybody else.
I'm glad. Thank you.
my
I'm-
curiosity is piqued.
Well, I'll take it. So I'll offer you something. You help me out, I'll help you out. You help me out around here, maybe we can make things a bit calmer around here. And I'll feel good enough that I can leave the town and guide you up north through the forest. 'Cause good luck getting through there.
Roach is dead. He's gone.
Well,
Just then, he shot by an
That's
arrow.
timing.
Yeah, just there.
maybe he can help us get up north.
Oh wait, he's back. He's back. He's back.
I'm back. No, I said, good luck getting through the northern roads without guide.
Okay. Well, I'm not one to turn away a helping hand for any reason, really. This place is, well, it's intrigued me, I'll say. It's interesting to see such a small place with such interesting wildlife around it. Usually you don't see this kind of thing.
Rat folk.
Rat folk who are actively organized.
And you mentioned something about a rat king. Or
Yeah,
for
one
the
of them.
king.
Yeah, didn't you say that? They said something like
Oh,
that? in our charges?
I did mention that. They did say something about for the king.
That's weird. That is weird. Yeah, the rat folk back home, they wouldn't pay taxes at all. They didn't like the king. Always refusing.
In this case,
Big
it
tail
seems
Tom,
like
he didn't like it no how. No taxes at all.
in
Not
this
on
case,
any
it
cheese.
Seems like it's
And
more
what
of a case of
crock pot
they've-
full of shit did what? I'm so
Ashen.
put off by your smell, I can't get my words out. What king were you under? Perchance.
The biggest one.
Good.
So,
He had a
Ashen,
crown.
you're-
That's how we all knew.
Ashton, you look like you.
Something
were
say I've
trying to
never
say
seen it.
something. What are you trying to say?
Those wolves were not natural. I'm with you, Jeska.
We didn't hear that last one.
I want to know what's happening.
Well, that settles it. So,
Could be Big Tom's cousin.
all
Little
right.
Jerry.
I don't know how to talk to you. So,
We don't. We just don't talk to it. We ignore it a lot of the time.
Honestly, I've been trying to walk away from it for days now.
Oh, I
I
can
think
see
it's. I
why.
think it's attached to us. You know what I mean? It's weird.
I
so
understand why.
Smell like
I'll help you. I'll help you get through the forest to the north without being killed
That'd be
or
nice.
ambushed as best as I can. If you help me around here, make sure everything kind of gets calm.
We'll try our best. Well, I'll try my best. I won't speak for other people here who
Great.
obviously have their own agendas.
Is there anything you need? Is there anything more you need from me in your investigation, in your quest?
Let's go with investigation because
Yeah, this isn't the Middle Ages. There's no more questing. Let's go. Let's go forward.
I need a bottle of
I have
cider.
something.
Go ahead.
I would like to find the person who possibly saw your herbalist last, so we got a general idea of which direction he left the village in. That would give us at least a starting point for our search, because if he's stuck out in the woods and you're surrounded by woods, well, what are we gonna do? Split up 6 ways and search all the compass points when you've got wolves and ratkin out there? It'd be better to get some sort of direction first.
I wouldn't recommend that.
Maybe we should go speak to the rat kid. Maybe they have him. Why don't we go visit them?
Let me go visit them and put a
We
star
knew where they were. We wouldn't be
right
hiding
up their
this problem.
backsides.
I
also-
take out my can with a rock in it and go, we could find them. And
it
rattle a
also
little
kind
bit.
of seems like they want to kill people. So,
Just dwarves, so far that we know.
I mean, if you want to go ahead and find that out for yourself, you can feel fucking
Right.
free.
Right. Okay.
Ratkin,
all right.
I know many ratkin. I
By the
grew
way,
up amongst the ratkin.
2 corruption points for our Kluft there. By the way.
Why? Why?
Trying to get dwarves murdered, maybe.
No, I'm not trying to get dwarves. I'm
You
warning
some
that they might
sort of-
just kill dwarves.
Are you some sort of race?
Are you some sort of racist?
There are 2 things I need.
Oh,
from you to con-
ratkin are.
to begin this investigation properly, there are 2 things I need from you. 1, a description of the apothecary, what we're looking for, what he's like, what they look like, that kind of thing, because we're not from here. 2, I need a bottle of hard liquor.
It's apparent. Okay, well, that you want to talk to Diana about that, and you're paying now on about that. I just covered her one night. No, Hester, he's he's an elvish gentleman, a bit shorter than you'd think.
Is he from the swamp elf place?
No, he was born in.
I didn't hear about that. Damn it.
No, I would have
Oh,
told
you
you
didn't?
guys about that in the interim. Assumed
No,
that
he
I
was
would've-
born somewhere. He's not originally from here. I don't know where he's from. But no, he's a bit shorter than you'd expect. He's got kind of this dirty blonde, kind of curly hair, and kind of a little squat. Like he doesn't straighten up a lot. Usually smells of kind of earthiness. I don't know how to describe it. Whatever.
Dirt.
Dirt, I guess. Fresh cut, like vegetation. A lot of ways.
Of the wild.
Yeah. Yes.
Didn't have
Wow,
fresh
yeah,
dirt
there you go.
yesterday. Just had old dirt.
Yep. Yep. All right. It's getting progressively harder.
Well, from the sounds of it, there are individuals here willing to help, and there are individuals here that are curious, and there are individuals here that are stuck to us like gum on the shoe. So, we will look
What
into
is
this
gum?
for you. It's
If I could suggest, maybe maybe Hester's got some notes or something about where he goes, like in his shop.
I suppose, yeah.
I haven't been able to
giving
get
us-
inside.
Just to clarify, apologies. You're giving us permission to break into his shop.
I've effectively deputized you, and there's really no oversight I have. So,
It's
yes.
just, as a fellow man of healing.
At this point, I can pretty much do what I want. So, yes.
Don't let that power go to your head.
Okay.
I don't. As far as I expect, as far as I
He
think,
sits
I
back in his
don't.
chair, just a glass of champagne.
I'm in.
Hat.
Yeah. But the thing is, we haven't been able to get inside because after the few days, we thought maybe he died and he was just inside of the shop. That was my original thought because it's kind of hard to tell. The shop does have a scent to it, but yeah, no, just haven't been able to get inside. So, not very. I don't want to break the door, but if you got to, you got to.
We might have
yeah.
a different situation.
And if you're
but-
trying to find out about what's going on in the forest, it basically just tells you about the worker, the one worker who stayed around, who's down in the village in the swamp to the
Yeah, I heard about
to
him
the,
from
to the west, to the southwest.
Delaris.
Also,
I
is there a
remember from-
butcher in town?
Yeah. There's a butcher.
Dagmar,
Uh,
I have a question for you. You are apothecary, correct?
Why?
Do you have the knowledge or even the ability right now to create something that might put something to sleep, if necessary?
How would I know this, DM?
you really need to put something to sleep. You do not have a concoction on you that is able to knock someone out reliably.
Newton has a
I mean,
blackjack.
you could throw a couple of things together and put
Heavily
somebody
poison
down.
It doesn't have to. Yeah, killing is also an option. It needs to go. Look, if we're going to be dealing with wolves and an uncontrollable amount of them, I would like some options. And I'm thinking if we cure some meat with something a little bit more dangerous in it, it might be a good.
That's a plan. Just going to point out, they seem to not like fire. Every time when I've dealt with wolves or normal wolves, fire, basically most animals tend to shy away from burning things. So just,
It's a very natural
wanna-
instinct.
yeah, I just want to point that out. Might be useful, might not be, if you have anything. And yeah, while you do have basically a free run of the town, you do not have unlimited funds. I'm not giving you any money because I also don't have a lot. So
That's fair.
Yes.
Well, considering how many wolves there were, it could be a plan, I suppose, but I don't...
Esther might be able to help you with something like that to put inside of the meat. Might be able to make something.
The problem with that is that once they eat the meat, it can't spread anymore because it's been digested and it only kind of works.
But if we're in a situation where there are wolves that we need to get past quietly, or
I suppose, yeah.
There's an option. Look,
well, this sounds like you're internally planning and you don't need me anymore, so I'm gonna get up and go.
Alright, we'll see you around, Benjamin.
yes. Good.
And just to let you guys know...
Shuffle, clack. Yep. What'd you say, Utari? I didn't hear you.
I was just saying, just take note of the time, too.
Yes.
Yep, no. That's why I ended that conversation. That's why.
Just I'm mega tired.
Okay. And now you're all together and can plan while also being off stream, so you can kind of form plans together. So that works. So yeah, well, let's end the session of roleplay there. Though do stay around a couple of minutes afterwards because we will have to do the XP and order corruption stuff. Just it'll be quick, like a 2 or 3 minute thing. So
okay. So without further ado, we'll have to end tonight's broadcast here. Also, just a quick apology to the people watching if the stream got a little bit funny in the middle. We had about an hour of weird internet. I'm not sure if it was my end or Twitch's end, actually, because I was still putting out stable, but Twitch wasn't liking it. So we had a couple of drop frames. So apologies there. Hopefully that doesn't come back up into the archive footage and everything kind of catches back up there. But if it did, apologies there. Without further ado, we need to close off tonight's video and just say thanks to all the players and the people who've been here. But, of course, not a player, the guy running the game, the mind behind this, Commissar Roach. Thank you for GMing tonight as well. You can find him at youtube.com/Commissar Roach. I have been joined by the wonderful Surelyonlymikey as Jeska. Dad TaleSpire, UtariOnzo is back. But also, again, you missed it last week. We gave you a big congratulations, but congratulations again.
I saw it on the VOD, so thank you very much.
Hey, great.
Hey. But yes,
these things.
Everyone in chat as well, if you missed it, he's just become a dad again, and is wonderful news, and we're all very happy for him and his family. But you can get me twitch.tv/UtariOnzo. I've been joined by Red Moogle tonight from Rival Zone Gaming. Sadly, Rival couldn't be here, but he's normally here as Drakel. You can get them at youtube.com/Rival Zone Gaming. We also have the fantastic dirt monster that is Kluft, played by Discourse Miniatures. You can get her at Discourse Miniatures. Pretty much, literally just put in Discourse Miniatures. It comes up. If you
Google it.
Google it.
It's Discourse Games on Twitch, if you want to look her up.
Yeah, that's a new thing.
That's a new thing as well. But if you're into the model hobby, it's the channel to be subscribed to.
The model hobby.
The model hobby. You can tell I've been out of the game for a while, isn't it? I've been Midgeman. This has been the Component Cast, and we will see you next time, folks. Bye-bye.
Bye.